and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why?
22 million dollars in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
You guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Yo, back with another banger stream for you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to MCG. Today we have a nice stream for you coming up. We have our first interview in about 12 minutes. So we'll get started, get some things going here, and then we will pull up our first interview. Real quick, just to kind of tee that up a little bit, just so you guys know what to expect. Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule real quick. Let's take a look at the schedule real quick. And here it is. All right. Let me share my screen with you guys. Perfect. Bang. MCG live. All right. So here's our schedule for today. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me zoom in on this for you guys. We kind of have a stream within a stream type of situation going on here on screen right now. But first coming up will be Motion at 12:30, and then we have Hebu official at 1:15. So Hebu's going to be pretty interesting. We talked about the kind of entertainment launch pad with the IP. I think that's an interesting angle. So excited to talk about them. We spoke about Motion yesterday, building that social graph. And I'd like to say that Motion has motion, and charts looking actually pretty good. So if you guys got a chance to check that out, you probably did well. If not, we'll get the lowdown on the entire interview here in about 10 minutes. We'll kick off with our first interview. So before we get started with everything, we just went live. It's a few of us in here. Let's all just do a few things real quick. Let's make sure we go to @MCG Live on Twitter. Go to @MCG Live. Do two things. The first, make sure you're hitting the follow button here. Make sure you're following @MCG Live. You'll know whenever we go live, whenever we push live on stream, you'll get to see all the amazing projects that we interview here as well. So make sure you hit the follow button. Thank you so much for 14.2K. This was 10K not too long ago. So we really, really, really appreciate the all the love and the support that we get from you guys. All you'll do basically when you go to MCG is scroll down on our Twitter page, go to our pinned tweet, and you'll do two things: hit like and hit retweet. That's it. Just like and retweet. Those are the only two things you got to do, and let all the homies know that you'll be let all the homies know that MCG is currently live. So let's get into it. We haven't taken a look at majors in a really, really long time, and as you can see with the title that we have on the show today, Bitcoin rally. So let's kind of talk about the odds of a Bitcoin rally playing out here. Let's go to the Bitcoin chart. As you guys know, I've been of the belief that we're going to hit this sub 50K, sub 60K level here. And I've had that thesis for a long, long time. In fact, we've had that thesis since March, April, somewhere around that time. We've had this, we looked at the liquidity heat map. We talked about in depth on many streams, different reasons behind why exactly we're expecting sub 60K. I told you guys that, I'm expecting sort of like this bottom in August and then this and then this rally. But it seems like we might be trying to front run any sort of bottom, at least in the short term. So here's another possibility that I'm entertaining. Let's go to the 2-day real quick, and let's zoom in. And here's what I'm thinking. So I told you guys that when I drew this, I told you guys basically the thesis here was we go to sweep some liquidity above 67.2K before we hit this bottom. Now, what's played out is we've seen some SFPs on the daily form here at 62.5K. And this level has actually held really well. I still think perhaps we go to sub 60K at some point. But I'm wondering if Bitcoin is kind of like trying to load up for like a mini rally. Whether you want to call it to maybe 70K, we go as high as that. Not really sure where this ultimately goes, but I can see a rally in our future because look at this. I mean, majors have been practically sideways for call it a month, just a little over a month. Majors haven't really done anything for an entire month. Not dumping is actually really, really a good thing. So perhaps we do revisit sub 60K levels in the future, but for now, here's kind of the higher probability of what I'm thinking. And you guys have seen this August bottom on my chart here for quite a long time. I think for now, I'm going to forego the August bottom. And I think I might actually put in an August. I think we might put in an August and September rally before we end up seeing an ultimate bottom. Because at the end of the day, what I realized was we are in this huge range here, right? We are in this huge range here. Bottom of this range is 60K. Top of this range is 82.8. So we could end up, putting in a rally here before ultimately going down. We could end up, swiping some liquidity up here before going down. So we'll see exactly where this plays out. My ultimate, target is still sub 60K. It's just the when is shifting, and what happens before that is what I'm coming to. So that's the kind of update that I have here on Bitcoin. We'll see exactly how things play out. The other thing is a lot of people are expecting a horrible Q4, and the more things become consensus, the less likely they are to happen, right? Like we saw in Q1 of 2025, everyone said, alt season is coming. You had Alex Becker, saying alt season in every single tweet. And lo and behold, Q1 was like the worst Q1 that it was for the market. So, and we decided to pull back. So just like everyone thought Q1 2025 was going to be bullish, and it was actually bearish. I think the opposite is true here. Everyone thinks that Q4 is going to be this super bearish time. We're going to be able to, buy the lows essentially before we hit sub 60K. And so, the thought then becomes, well, are we just bullish in Q4? Do we just maybe rally even more? Do we even rally more to that that range high? Because again, like I said, I realize that at the end of the day, we're in a range. We hit the top of the range. We are not back at the bottom of the range. So, if liquidity moves markets, if liquidity is a magnet, then there's probably a lot of liquidity up here at these levels, right? So we'll see. We'll see exactly how things play out. But obviously, Onchain is popping off, accelerating, heating up. There are way more opportunities than there has been over the last 10 months. We also see that majors are starting to kind of make a move here, or at least position really well. We talked about ETH. I told you guys basically, like with ETH looks absolutely strong. We finally broken out of that downtrend there. And we have been, like I said, consolidating for basically a month here. And we know that, from what I mentioned to you guys a few weeks ago was perhaps we go for a higher low. But again, majors have been consolidating for about a month. And I doubt that consolidation comes before a price nuke. I think it's way more likely that after 10 months of downside, 10 months of just bearish price action, I think after this consolidation, I think it's bullish. We can't go down. And I think it's more likely that the path of least resistance would be up. So I think I might start taking some longs here. We'll see. I think I might start taking some longs, but it looks very, very likely that we pump. So that was ETH. Look at Solana. We also saw that Solana is looking really, really well, going straight according to my call. I told you guys that on the daily there was this order block, this bullish order block here. I told you guys the 618 is the likely place we form the OTE entry. That is a likely place we form like a higher low. As you guys can see in purple, we have the old range low is $60 and the range high was 76. We broke the range high. And when you do that, likely place to form a new low is the 618. That's confluent with the bullish order block, likely place for a higher low. And now, it looks like absolutely ready. Looks ready to go. In fact, you see, we even just broke that little downtrend there as well. So everything just looks like it's positioning for upside. Bitcoin consolidating looks likely to have a nice rally. ETH, same thing, consolidating, looks like it's ready to rally. Solana already made its higher low, looks like it wants to go at the range high there at $84. And I think ultimately, again, I told you guys back here that, a great target for Solana is $100 before we see, more downside. So at the very least, 84, at most $100. So those are some things I wanted to cover on the majors. because we see some very, very nice price action forming here. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. The boy I might have to get back into the leverage game. I've been majors have been flat, so perps just not really the move right now. Um, but this has been looking really solid, really, really solid. All right, that's the update on majors. Let's see how things play out. We have our first interview coming up here
Hey,
in
chill.
a minute or two. Talk to me, Josh. What's good?
Yeah, man. So I just want to cover something that we saw on the timeline this morning. So we obviously saw Ansem launch yesterday. LB Explorer, who's a friend of the show, posted this morning and just talked about how he was LPing the Ansem meme tokens. And so as we see more launches come through Ansem, I think this is kind of like the new thing on Solana right now is potentially launching through Ansem and using the Z500. So he was LPing a bunch of these tokens. Now the volumes aren't quite there what they were yesterday. However, on a DLMM basis, they're actually still pretty great. And so want to just call this out where you can deal in with Meteor, which is providing liquidity, and go to meteor.ag-ref-mcg. And so I'll show you an example of kind of how you can construct a trade here. So, there's tokens like, bullshit coin, which probably not my favorite, but basically what I've done is just gone to the diamond tier of tokens, looked for something. I like to deal in kind of that 500K to like 5 million market cap range. And so I found Z right here, which has decent volume still. And it actually, the chart kind of looks pretty nice. So I grabbed the CA and then we come over here to the DLIM terminal. And now you can just kind of paste this in just like this. And you can see a bunch of pools. And so how I like to look at these is I choose typically the highest TVL pool, which is definitely the most safest, and with a minimum fee of about ideally 2%. And so there's this 200 bin pool right here. And I've provided some liquidity just kind of in this range that we are. And so it's actually really easy to do. You have the Jupiter plugin right here. So you can go to this and just swap some tokens. So what I've done is actually bought 50% of the Z token and then 50% of Sol. And I've provided in this two-sided LP right here. So you can see my Z in purple, Sol in light blue. And yeah, right now, I'll just kind of let this go. And, I just put this on. So it's going to take some time to accumulate fees. A little tighter of a range. I saw actually a video of an LPer putting extremely tight range, like 5 bins each way, which I thought was really interesting. So experimenting with tighter ranges, but we'll kind of let this trade. Now, of course, if this breaks out of the bottom of this range, I'll close the trade. But if it gets to the top, it will be a very profitable trade. And then anything ranging in here is fees that I'm accumulating. Now, if I reset my zoom here, you'll also see that there's a dynamic fee applied. So the base fee is 1%. However, due to the demand of the pool and the liquidity, there's an additional 1% trading fee applied. Now, what I really like about this 24-hour fee to TVL ratio is 21%, which is quite high. That's actually really good. Normally, it's like 5 or less. And yeah, so we'll let this trade. We'll let this cook. And deal in with Meteor, guys. This is the best way to most EV positive way to trade. You earn the fees, but you also can get exposure to the assets themselves. So yeah, we'll let this go and see how it goes. All right, go ahead, Chill, if you want to tee up the motion segment.
Yeah, let's excited to talk to Motion here. So what they're trying to do is build a social graph on Robinhood. So they kind of call it like TipFi, but basically like you can connect your Twitter and it indexes what you post, and this leads to like this sort of like on-chain burning of supply. Like there's all these very interesting mechanics that go into building this social graph off of, you know, what happens on CT essentially. So excited to kind of see, like, you know, the full mechanics, really understand the tokenomics behind it. And I have a few questions, but seeing that this is getting picked up, before we do invite Julius up, though, just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, MetaDAO. Best launch pad, best crypto native launch pad in the space. And we don't say that because they're a sponsor. I've said that for 8 months at least. But they've raised over $45 million on their platform. They give full community team alignment. They fix that social contract that exists between community teams and investors. And it honestly is just a great platform to launch on. I've seen many different many different and interesting projects launch, Credible being one of the staple and most interesting ones recently to date to launch. So excited to have MetaDAO as a sponsor, and so with that being said, let's go ahead and transition into our first interview of the day. Julius, welcome to the show.
Julius, we can't hear you. If you can try your mic.
Looks like your mic in StreamYard is unmuted, but perhaps you have a local mic that could be muted.
All right. Well, we'll bump Julius down and try and get him reset here. Let's see. I'll try and get him coordinated.
Cool. While you do that, let's run through some things. This is a live show. So these things tend to happen, technical difficulties, etc. But we work with it, we run with it. Let me update you guys real quick on something that I saw yesterday. Or actually not yesterday, rather just this morning. So it looks like FOMO is continuing their dominance. This just came out just 32 minutes ago. Let me share my screen here. Bang, let me share my screen. So check out the breaking news. FOMO flips Kalshi and enters the top 5 in US iPhone finance rankings on the App Store. So FOMO is now top 5 apps, you know, outside of Kalshi. I mean, look at who they're next, you know, Cash App, PayPal, Capital One, Venmo. I think beating Kalshi on the App Store, I think that's pretty significant. I wonder what this means for the rest of Onchain, because again, taking a look
Can I take a stab at this? So
I
actually listened to the Rosmer stream yesterday, and they were talking about this. So one of the things with the rise of these prediction markets is the speculation that's happening within them doesn't have any sort of network effect or spillover effect to the broader market. Whereas if you think about meme coin trading, when meme coins pump, there's this kind of like network effect where people make money, then they rotate into other different coins, and then people see things that are speculated, and if they make money, then they want to join into the craze. Whereas in prediction markets, it's just like when a position is put on by a trader, it doesn't really like move the needle of the broader market within Kalshi. They're kind of like Kalshi, and what I'm saying is Kalshi and these prediction markets are very much like islands. They're kind of islands with their own liquidity that is just in the system, no different than any other kind of casino area, whereas meme coins are an open global trading market, basically. And I actually agree with that take. I think that's right. So what I'm saying is that I think it's healthy that meme coins and on-chain is seeing the liquidity flows versus these kind of closed gardens, or what we used to say in the old social media days, the walled gardens of the Kalshis and poly markets.
That actually makes a lot of sense. When you take into consideration that like there's no spillover like from prediction markets, like people have their fun in prediction markets and then and that's it. They just leave. Um, and I don't think that has any effect on chain like you were mentioning. So um I guess I guess the other thing is like, what's your take on social trading? Like, is this kind of like the rise of, you know, the rise of like apps like FOMO? Like, is social trading going to be more signal than it was before? Is CT going to have the same level of influence that it had before? Um, what do you think?
Um, all the discoveries happening on social trading apps. So I think it's just gonna keep going. So maybe I again, there's another Rasmer thing. He was talking to some guy and I forget his name, but basically just said is these traders are becoming the influencers. And I think that is like a really good dynamic. So um yeah, I mean, traders become the influencers. That's just basically all the takes there. I mean, it's just that simple. I think it's just that simple.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, we see the guys like I don't know if you saw Kimchi, if you know who that is, but
Yeah,
goaded
like that went
trader.
globally viral, basically, that
Yeah,
story. And like all he did was post 4 pictures, you know?
and and
Um,
go- and he was actually posted like, with real celebrities because of that. So, but
yeah.
we have our guest back in the building. Julius, welcome to the stream. How are we doing today?
All right, testing, testing. Can you guys hear me?
There we
Yeah, you're
go,
good.
loud and clear.
All right, say that. So I tossed on some AirPods, but we should be live and ready to go. Excited to be here, guys.
Nice. We actually had a
Absolutely.
question around social trading, apps like FOMO and stuff. I don't know if you have a take on that or thought on that. Maybe we'll throw you that question as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think I mean, look, the best products in this space center around speculative capital. Okay. And so
Hmm.
what will enable more speculation? Oftentimes, people are very price insensitive to these things. And so I'm a big fan of the idea or the concept around social trading because it helps onboard new users. The long-term success and viability of something like social trading, up in the air. But short term, it'll be a fun ride, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Got it.
Yeah, no, I actually tend to agree with you there. So Julius, I mean, the way we like to start these interviews is just to get a sense of who you are, what you're building, things of that nature. Maybe we start with you, your background. Talk to us about, your crypto journey, or are you non-crypto native? Tell us more.
Yeah, yeah. So crypto native, been in the space for a long time. Jumped around protocol to protocol. Now just build cool stuff with my friends. And so that kind of led us to Motion, our most recent kind of endeavor. But behind the scenes, there's a pretty broad group of OGs building stuff, doing outreach, just trying to innovate and have fun, right? And so been all around the chain for 10 plus years, and looking forward to the next 10.
Yeah. And I,
Absolutely.
I have to say, like was looking at the motion chart this morning. You have one of the nicest looking charts out there. Like this is a very beautiful looking chart, interesting
Well,
looking project. Friends of the show have also tagged us with the motion tips. And I'm not sure what those are. So please
yeah,
please
yeah.
fill us
I think
in.
I think the first thing with the chart is it's at least worth noting is, man, if you look at a majority of these small cap charts, right, they're just dominated by like volume bots. And so us as a team, we'd spent a fairly substantial amount of capital spinning up the product and on infrastructure, data cost, redundancy, multiple API providers. And so we're actually running minimal volume bots here. And so if you look at the chart, that's just kind of like the true chart, you know, that's kind of the actual activity that's happening, which I think is a beautiful thing, you know, come to look back at it. So definitely, you know, those movements on that chart are fun to watch because it's actually happening. Would love to jump into motion a little bit here for us, guys.
Please.
So, all right, so check it out. The best way to kind of describe this is to take us back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for those of us who remember DGen on Farcaster, DGen on Farcaster started off as a small community. They did an airdrop. Farcaster famously a social graph. Okay, so every piece of data that was on that social network, you had access to. Okay, and so DGen put it together. They put one and one together. They said, wait a second, what can we do on a social graph? One of the first and early innovations of the DGen protocol was to enable tipping. And so on Farcaster, you reply to somebody's post content, you know, / DGen 500. Behind the scenes, because it's a social graph and it's all public, they pick that up and they actually send out that tip, right? So from user to user. For those of us who have ever tipped or received a tip, you know, for those of us who were back on Farcaster in those days, the feeling and the level of euphoric kind of that concept around receiving a tip in real time, right, facilitated by the blockchain, is like nothing else, man. It was some of the most fun times we've all had on chain. And so fast forward to present day, right? We look at the current landscape and we say to ourselves, well, how do we rebuild that, right? Because Farcaster kind of fizzled out. You know what I mean? DGen went on to build like an L3, I think. Now they're somewhere in like prediction markets. And like at the end of the day, right? You want to tip. You want to tip with your homies. And so we looked at the infrastructure. We have Twitter, right? CT, Robinhood, up and coming chain. We were all over there on Robinhood, messing around, building stuff, having fun. And we put it all together. And we said, okay, what's like a really easy mechanism that we could build together to kind of enable tipping on the timeline. And so the first thing you need here is a social graph. So you need to start indexing user behavior, user interactions, and to start connecting, hey, okay, Josh is actually connected to Chill, TRD, and here are their interactions. They like each other's posts and so forth. So for about a month, we were indexing X data, collected about 30 to 50 million different data points across 25 to 30,000 different users. And collectively, we were only looking at 5, not looking at every possible community. After we established that social graph, right, we can now enable new functionality. So based off of your bag working, right? So if you were bag working some of these communities that we have, which is Motion, Pawns, Brody, Wishbone, and Stonkbroker, if you were like, you know, shilling, writing good content, pushing out posts, you were earning points. And the points in Motion do two things. The first thing is it burns Motion. The second thing is it gives you a tipping allocation, right? And so we turned tipping live and we had 35 plus thousand tip requests in the first 48 hours. Some pretty big names were also tipping. Mead God, Nobi, G Money, Gabriel Haynes, you know, the list goes on. And why is that? It's because it's fun, right? You get to give money you get to give tips away for good content. And so, you know, the one thing that we did run into here is like mass scale, extremely, extremely advanced like farming. There's this concept from back in the day again called tip farming.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, our infrastructure was hit at 5:30 in the morning a few days ago with like 350,000 requests, you know, across the APIs, across just the system. And so Nobody expects that, right? So, Twitter, even on X, right? It got very popular in like Indonesia, I think. Indonesia,
Hmm.
Bangladesh, is it just mass scale farming operations, pretty much. So we immediately went to war on the bots,
And
and
actually,
so
Justin Casey here from YouTube has a question. I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah.
mentions Nigeria as well, which I mean, this is kind of you know been known for a while in these types of systems. But yeah, continue. Like, how do you combat this and
Oh,
weed
dude.
this out?
So it's literally you got to put on armor, and you're on the front lines. And so the first thing you could actually see is like network traffic, right? So within our UI, we're actually very minimal on chain. So the only time you need to be on chain is when you claim your tips. Okay, everything else is done off chain. We use some pretty advanced technology, EIP 7710, which is smart contract delegations and caveat enforcers. And so that means it's all counterfactual. But in all theory, right, it's kind of off chain. So you can identify all this through IP traffic, right? So you get an idea of kind of where all this traffic is coming, what parts of the back end they're actually hitting. Of course, the major one is all the tip requests that flow through X. So just tens of thousands of tip requests over X from folks who are essentially farming activity. Because we're a social graph, you can identify what that activity looks like, right? So things like tip backs. So Josh, if you earn tips, you have to tip it out, right? You can't claim it. What a tip back is you would tip that to Chill TRD and he would tip it right back to you, and now you can claim it, right? So this is a way that's like the system was not just designed to be farmed, right? And that's essentially what was occurring there. And so tip backs as well as tip circles. And to give you an idea on tip circles, right? 40 to 50 accounts all acting together, randomly tipping each other, and it starts and ends at the same person, right? And so we actually found one instance of 50 different accounts
Jeez.
doing this together. So like extremely sophisticated levels of farming. And I believe it was the old farmers from DGen. And now the technology is advanced, it's fast, it's cheap. And so they were able to spin this up, within 48 hours. So the first thing we did is tightened up the system, right? We tried to stop the farmers, and we're actually releasing a V2, which is not an open tipping system. It's going to be a closed tipping system. So we're gonna kind of look at this from the ground up. What we released was beta. Okay, we learned a ton, right? I think the first thing is an open tipping system based off bag working. People will try to take advantage of that mechanism, right? But what we also learned is that people love to tip. Okay, again, top accounts, people telling us they're having so much fun and so forth. So we're in V2, we're creating a closed system. We're starting off with 10 to 20 accounts. And based off who they're tipping, whoever receives a tip essentially gets an invite or a referral to join the system. And so over time, what you do is you scale those tips in circles, right? And it's not wide open for hundreds of thousands or multi hundreds of thousands of people to try to exploit at the same time for economic gain.
So
So
can I ask?
go ahead. Go ahead,
Sorry, go
Josh.
ahead. Yeah, I want to ask about this claiming the tip thing because I think this is an interesting mechanism. So if I tip Chill, he can't just claim that and sell that tip. He has to then send it to someone else. Is that correct? Did I understand that?
No. So if you earn a tip, right, or sorry,
Okay.
if you earn an allocation to tip, you can't claim it, right? You earned a tip, so you have to go out and tip it. But if you tip Chill TRD, he can then go claim it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and
So you
and the
earn. How
cool,
do you earn an allocation again? Can you just
yeah.
explain that
So
real quick?
so in beta in V1, it was all about bag working. And so
Right.
if you posted on Twitter with the cash tags of the communities, or some content, our back end system would pick it up,
Right.
oftentimes hundreds of posts every 30 minutes. And then it would score it, rank it, and then track it for the next 24 hours. And we had an algorithm that would essentially assign points to your content.
Got
From
it.
there, you would
Okay.
earn a tipping allocation to then go out. The original idea was you would go out and tip your community, right? You would go out and tip all the other bag workers in your communities and on your projects.
Yeah. So it's viral spread. Yeah.
It's a viral spread, right? I think what we did not expect was the sophistication, in all the different mechanisms and farming tactics at a scale that, we were trying to handle.
Can I get ahead of myself a little bit?
Yeah,
Usually
of
we ask
course.
we usually ask this question at the end of an interview, towards the end, but like what's the vision here? Like what are you guys through this social graph protocol that you're building? Like what do you see it can change? What exactly are you guys trying to do with this?
Yeah, I think if at the end of the day, right, what we're trying to accomplish here is an experiment where if you create good content for a community and a project, there's a way for you to get rewarded, right? So, oftentimes you hear people say it's the era of the bag worker,
Hmm.
right? And so, bag workers oftentimes they're out there hustling just because they have a bag. But, the big question is there a mechanism or an incentive mechanism to reward bag workers for doing a good job, right? And I think that was the original thesis. Our new thesis with V2 is really a virality flywheel,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, I think where motion, is heading is a social attention protocol. So, people that have tips, can they use those tips to incentivize certain behavior, whether that's better content, good research, to grow their own following, to do all of these kind of really interesting social economic experiments.
Can I tangent on Chill's question there? I mean, we've seen these experiments. Obviously, you named a few that have tried this and done this, and it worked for a certain amount of time, and then at some point it doesn't work and just doesn't retain. Like, how do you get this to, how do you get past the argument of, oh, I've seen this before? Like, it's not kind of a new thing. Like, how do you make it? Is it the system design? Is it
Yeah, I think
branding?
it's
Is it the right,
no.
I mean, I could say the same about FOMO. We've seen mobile trading apps before, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
FOMO broke out. Like, what's that breakout feature that says, okay, now this is retaining and sticking?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you have to look at is like, the last time this has been tried at scale was years back, right? And so, the technology's advanced, the user base has advanced, right? You have a whole you have a net new set of users here. And so the big, the big question or the breakout here of like, what does success look like? Is probably from an economic perspective. I think tipping protocols probably inflated rather too fast. I don't think they got over figuring out how to stop farming, and tip farming. And I think, we're kind of looking at this more from an economic perspective, and we're saying, hey, tipping, as the protocol is really cool, but it has to be done right. So it has to inflate as the economics or the economy supports its growth. Okay. So, the cool thing about motion right now is 80% of the supply is in the tipping treasury. That's a MetaMask delegator smart contract. So the float's already fairly low. The float the float standalone is about 20%. So there's lots of room, I think, from a safe economic perspective to say, hey, over the next 12 months, right, we're going to figure out how to get this system to work. and it'll be 1% of the supply, 2% of the supply, or so forth. With enough economic growth, it's peanuts. So
Right.
I think we're in a position, we're in a strong position here, right? Where we have expertise from an infrastructure perspective, we have expertise from a data perspective, a mechanism perspective, economic, and we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, where do we and how do we grow from here?
Yeah, and honestly, growing the market cap is really interesting because it makes that treasury, that 80% more valuable in dollar terms. And so
Totally.
you go from like, oh, well, we're distributing, I don't know, 80% of 6 million. So 5 million, worth of value to potentially 50, 100 million. And the marketing equations really change there. But I guess like where I'm leaning to this is who's the buyer, right? Because the buyers then drive that market cap. Like, are people buying just for speculation in terms of, hey, I think the network effects of motion will grow? Or is there some sort of like, I see there's a burn mechanism. You guys have burned a bunch of tokens.
Yeah.
Like, is there some underlying mechanism where it's like, okay, this is a scarce store value, but maybe like I also want to buy motion to actually use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the roadmap, you'll be able to buy motion, bring it to the system and tip it if you want. We're also working on your ability to bring any token to the system and use it. So motion is infrastructure. But like in terms of like the incremental buyer of this token, I think the incremental buyer of 99% of tokens is from a speculative, or comes in a speculative
Yep.
nature.
Yep.
I think maybe outside of the top 10, tokens, it's probably speculation across the board, unless there's a really, really good value accrual mechanism. And so that's, I think, our job and every team's job in this space is to try to find that value accrual mechanism, right? So, from motion specifically, from the tipping infrastructure, I think, there's already things being tested and worked on and ideated. I also think motion, as a group of people is kind of like a collective. And so there's already teams building on top of motion. They should have their first releases in, 3 weeks or so, just building different cool products, right? And so, from a value accrual perspective, I'm not too worried. I think there's a lot of smart people building cool shit. But I mean, look, the incremental buyer is somebody who wants exposure to what is right now the largest TipFi experiment in all of Web3. If you look at DGen, DGen was operating on Farcaster, maybe had 100,000 daily active users, right? Hit $2.1 billion market cap. If you look at
Crazy.
Motion, we're operating on X. What are we talking about here? 200, 300 million daily active users, and we're at a $6 million market cap. So just looking at historical comparables here, I think from a speculative, perspective, it's like pretty interesting thing to keep track of.
Okay, I
So
want to offer.
go ahead,
Okay,
Josh.
sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to offer a demo opportunity. I set up an account, so I have my mint_Josh account on here. Did you want to maybe share your screen and show like how someone actually sends a tip?
Yeah. So can't share my screen, but I will actually tip you, and then you could go look at it.
All right, sure.
Let me find you.
So, all right, should I go screen share X or should I screen share your platform here?
I think the platform. I made a profile
Yeah,
as
platform.
well. Apparently, I have stuff.
You have some tips?
I think so. I'm trying to get back to the page that showed it, but it said I had some sort of allocation or something.
Okay, yeah. Maybe you received some already.
Yeah, I think
Ika
so.
probably sent you some chill, but didn't send me any. Probably.
Oh, dude.
Dude.
Ika's the GOAT.
Yeah, he's friends of the show. We even have him in our private Discord as well. We love Ika here.
Yeah. So I
So
have my
here,
profile up here. You can see my X handle if you need to. If you have a tweet I should go look at, I can pull it in.
here I just pinged it over.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys. So just walk us through what we're looking at here on X. So here's X.
All right. So basically, the way this works is if you have a tipping allocation, you just go to somebody's content, you do at tip motion 1000, and then a reason. Great show. Our indexers pick that up in 3 to 5 seconds, give or take. And then for qualified accounts, right, you get a response from the tip bot. So this is kind of confirmation. Now, if you're not a qualified account, your tip still goes through, but you don't get the confirmation, right? So that's really a tactic of preventing spam and bot activity. So that has to be managed. But as you see, right, you received it, it told you, you got it. And now if you go back to your profile,
Okay, let's go. So here's my profile. Okay. Oh, look at that.
look at that. Now, if you scroll down here, you'll actually
Yeah,
see, you'll see,
right
yeah,
here.
right. Yeah, we're seeing there's your tip.
Okay.
Maybe zoom
Okay,
in a little
so
bit, Josh.
yeah, I am definitely am zoomed in. Okay, so now, all right, so I see you have generate share card. Okay, consistent. What is this? Okay,
Oh yeah, so this is
posting.
just a share card that shows you all these things. Now, uh, if you scroll up to the actual system, okay, so in on Thursday, right, you'll be able to come here and claim this. The claiming basically, if you wanted, you'll have to verify your account. You just log in through X, and we check for bot. We check to see if you're a bot. You're not a bot, and then it will stream to your wallet over 60 days. So using smart contract delegations over the next 60 days, you would receive that 1,000 motion basically. Once a day, you just
Got it.
get airdropped that motion. Um, Now, here's the cool thing, right? You do not need a wallet. So when you log in with Twitter or you sign in with X, and you don't have to do this on the air, but all you have to do is paste in a wallet address that you want to receive your allocation. So, we also sat here and thought to ourselves, what's the easiest possible way, to do this? And it was the lack of infrastructure, right? We don't need server wallets. We don't need anything. You only need a wallet whenever you want to leave our system.
Got it. Go ahead, Joe.
Quick question here. So on mine, it says that apparently I'm top 15.32% or
Let's
something.
go.
What? So exactly
Let's
what does that
go.
mean? What does that mean? What am I top of? This is crazy.
All right, well, let's see. What's your username?
Chill TRD, and I'll share my screen now too.
Let me see.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, I'm not farming, I promise. There's no botting or anything.
No. Hit social. Let's take a look.
Social.
Scroll down.
Everyone, thanking you for that Cash Cat call at 150K.
Yeah, right. Have you tweeted about Brody or Pons?
Yeah.
Oh, Pawns.
Yeah, bro. Scroll down. You're on there. Yeah, right. So
Oh,
there you are. There you are in a state. So basically, what we do is we look at all these communities, and we kind of do like a standardized or normal distribution of all the activity. From the highest active user to the least highest active user who are not bots, and then we plot you on this activity to determine, what is your percentile of successful posts and bag working, right? So you're a pretty good bag worker in the Brody community.
it's
Now,
freaking dope.
what's really important to note here, Chill, is this is not the amount of posts that you do. Okay, so our algorithm picks up your posts and then basically does a lot of math to determine the virality of that post as well as the reach, right? And kind of, was this truly impactful for said community Brody, right? And so whatever your posts were, they must have been pretty good.
Well, it's crazy. Last week on the show, we took a look at Brody. It was bottoming in a zone that we usually in, TA wizard stuff, but it was in a bottom zone and it was forming a head and shoulders, and I called it out on stream. And I guess I tweeted about that, and lo and behold, it like 5x from there. And
Okay, so look, it worked, right? It was actually impactful.
It
If you
was
scroll
because of the
down,
fibs. He puts a fib on the chart, and it gives
dude,
him top
the fuck-
15% for sure.
dude, that's crazy, dude.
Now, scroll down, Chili. You could click on those boxes, and it'll show you the tweets and what they scored. Just keep scrolling down. Keep going, right there. So you see those boxes with the dots? That'll show you the
Yeah,
tweets, what they scored, how they scored. You could click through.
Very cool.
I see.
And
I
this is
see. Yeah,
retroactive, so it's looking back at, like if I tweeted, I guess he tweeted last week, setting up an account today, and it's indexed.
No,
here, I
so
guess.
so you don't have to set up an account, right? It's more on a community level. So we've been indexing Brody activity for weeks now. So it's picked up anybody who's bag worked Brody. And so that's why Chill got picked up here, is because he talked about Brody.
Got it.
and just to make sure, so this tipping power, this is what I am able to send out to others to tip.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
You could start tipping today.
Got you. And we're right. Yeah, Ika was the one who sent me some
it.
tips. Shout
Look
out
at
the
that.
boy. Shout out the
Ika.
boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
very, very cool. We only have 4 minutes left, so I really want to get through like anything else you have. Like you had this launched on Pawns. Pawns has done really well. Anything you want to share here, Chill? And I don't know if there's any tokenomics questions. Yeah.
Just traction and big picture. What
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
traction have you
Yeah.
seen so far, and where's that headed?
Dude, tons of traction. I think the people like to tip. I mean, who doesn't want to give away who doesn't want to give away tips to reward good content? Like this is kind of like a meta that's been happening as of late from a social perspective. I think V2 will be launched on Thursday or Friday. Again, this is a closed system. So we're starting off with 10 people. Anybody that they tip it's essentially an invite for them to join the system, and we're going to try to grow through high value accounts. Okay, so good content, real bag workers, high value accounts. That creates a social and a viral flywheel, right? So we want to be a key cornerstone of growth within the Robinhood economy, focused on Pawns tokens, focused on real people, real bag workers. That's motion.
And so are the token communities buying, and this is a question, why wouldn't teams buy a bag and use it to tip out to get new people? Like, is that something teams are doing?
Yeah, so that's a feature that will come in V2. That's on the roadmap, and that should be posted, the roadmap, tomorrow. The initial V2 launch should be Friday.
All right, Friday. Love that. There's last question. A tipper can tip anyone, correct? I don't need to keep it in the communities we are currently bag working. Yes, this is like outside.
Yeah, tip anyone, dude. We had Mia Khalifa got tips, Elon Musk got tips, Telegram got tips. Man, you tip anybody.
All right, Mia, if you're listening, set it up, I guess. Chill, any final questions?
No, I think I'm good. I mean,
You must be a millennial, Julius. Any Gen Z wouldn't know what that is.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Well, Julius, look, it's been a fantastic interview. We appreciate you pulling up to the stream. I feel like, this is basically a protocol that like you see what's going on with Ansem and his Ansem token, right? He's basically tipping other people to bag work for Ansem.
Yeah.
And now you see that with his launch pad, he's kind of just putting that all into a protocol. but I feel like you're almost doing that, but like for the entire space, not just like an individual token.
Totally, exactly.
Got it.
Is there a play
That's
here
clear.
with other tokens, or is it just strictly always will be motion token?
No. We're gonna introduce other tokens, right? So like eventually motion, at motion as infrastructure is not going to be difficult to build or launch. So any community can show up with their own tokens and enable some level of tipping engagement. The issue that we ran into was we need the system to be stable and not attacked at a global scale from bot farms. And so that's what V2 is going to solve. And then all these really cool features are just going to come out, in between days of each other.
Awesome.
Got it.
Cool,
Got it.
Julius. We got a wrapper there. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll keep an eye on motion. This is very fascinating.
Roger that.
Appreciate you pulling through, Julius. Take care. Till next time.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, for context, this is the chart we were referring to on stream. Really quite nice.
We talked about this yesterday, guys. Just saying that this is now pushed from where it was yesterday. We went through the entire on-chain landscape, and I gave you guys everything you needed to know. This was one of them. And I really loved that interview. Really kind of just put into it, really clicked for me at the end of the interview when it's like, okay, like this is kind of playing with attention almost through this tipping mechanism. And it's the same playbook that Anthem's doing. But in this case, you have a lot of different ways that you can put that together, and it's all at a protocol level. So versus, actually manually doing that. So yeah, love that. Actually I was very involved in a protocol building something like this, but bot farms were the huge downfall there. So glad to see that they've been able to, work out a fix for that.
Awesome. We got to get to our next chat here, but before we do, just want to shout out MetaDAO for supporting the show. Thank you so much for doing that. They have a launchpad called Futard.io, and then the main curated launchpad, MetaDAO.fi, $45 million raised, but they've had hundreds of millions in commits. It's quite an impressive ecosystem. Some of the best performing tokens on Solana are all MetaDAO tokens in these kind of rough market times. So go check out MetaDAO. You own the revenues, treasuries, and can put proposals forward to govern the different businesses of the tokens that you're buying. With that, we have a very interesting chat. Claynosaurus. Okay. I've been watching Claynosaurus, and this is a launchpad that I believe the Claynosaurus ecosystem is launching off of, or the IP is launching off of it. I've seen this for a long time. I was on a Twitter Spaces with Claynosaurus back in the day, in the NFT days. This is an IP I have little kids, so I understand the power of these types of IPs. This is an IP that's stuck around for years, has evolved, and is doing things like toys, streaming deals with Amazon, all this crazy stuff. So we're going to get the lowdown here. I believe they are raising, and Solana is really backing this one as well. So we're going to get into Blake and Andrew. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello. Mic check.
There you go. Loud and clear. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Great.
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, no worries. You guys not only survivors but thrivers during these Solana market days. How's it going? And yeah, if you want to do a quick Andrew introduction, then a Blake intro.
Yeah, I'll do it. But you said like the NFT days, as if the NFT days are gone. Man, come on. NFT,
they're coming back.
I think they're coming back. I think they're coming back. I'll intro myself briefly. So yeah, I'm CEO of the project. Project being Claynosaurs, and now we're evolving into this bigger, like you said, launchpad studio style thing called Hibu, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, I'm CEO. Been around since basically the day after the Claynosaurs project was launched, November 2022, and I know those guys for a long time. I came on board like the day after that they minted, and been here ever since. I'll pass over to Blake to give him so he can have a brief intro too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Blake. I'm the CMO of Claynosaurs and our studio parent company, Heboo, which we'll get into more. And I really just I'm responsible for a lot of the public-facing communication and social media, both on Web 2 and Web 3, brand expansion, licensing, and merch, and everything. We all wear a lot of hats here, which is great. That's how startups survive and thrive. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Very cool. Andrew, I do have a question from your initial launch because you guys were a Montreal-based studio. Is that correct?
I'm sitting in Montreal right now, so we're Montreal based. We're still
Okay.
Montreal based. We have it's 2026. We got a lot of kick-ass people on the team who are not necessarily in Montreal, like Blake, like Jacques, but we are technically headquartered in Montreal.
LA. Well, there we go. No, I do. I'm from Toronto, so
Okay.
love.
Oh,
love
okay,
seeing
yeah,
it.
great.
And I know Montreal. For those that don't know, Montreal is a very deep gaming ecosystem.
Right.
There's a very big. Was it not EB Games? It's
Ubisoft.
What's the Ubisoft? Ubisoft's out of there. What other game titles have come out of Montreal? There's some big ones.
I
I'm
think
not
the
sure if
biggest.
Assassin's Creed.
I think Assassin's Creed was built here. Ironically, Blake
Wow.
was one of the head marketing guys on the launch of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I worked at Ubisoft San Francisco for a while, but all the dev teams, the development teams, was there in Montreal. So, or like North Carolina, they had them pretty spread out. But Ubisoft is definitely one of the biggest gaming, and of course, there's lots of independent gaming, and Montreal is a great city just for entertainment in general. Studios, motion graphics, visual effects, gaming, all that fun stuff. It's a great hub and a great city.
Yeah. No. Okay. Continue with the introduction. I mean, I agree. Actually, like funny enough, one of my advisors was the CEO of Just for Laughs, and he talked about taking Just for Laughs, like the comedy stuff that they used to do, and bringing it onto YouTube, and it went viral. Like they were hundreds of millions, billions of views, and it's just the culture in Montreal is really cool. But I wanted people to know it because it has this deep technical talent in terms of game studios, animation studios, etc. So maybe Andrew, you can speak a little more.
No, we do. I mean, we have a very, very deep pool of talent. The reason for that is I mean, effectively like tax support, government support from the local government here. But as a consequence of that, like Ubisoft, I think was one of the first movers. Huge office here. I think to this day is a huge one. We did a mobile game with Claynosaurs, partnered with Gameloft on that. Gameloft has an office like I can throw a stone and hit their offices down the street.
Another big one.
Yeah. And then even the guys on our team, man, like so Cab, and then all these other creatives like Jervis and Cabrals and all the team that was here, like that's here, they come from these sort of studios that you've never heard of. So like Frame Store is a studio down the street, DNEG, these like Canadian studios, but actually these are all those studios who do all the production work on like all the movies you watch, right? So like the recent Spider-Man, buddies of mine are working on that, and then there's they've worked on every Marvel movie, the Game of Thrones stuff, like Minions. One of our head of animation, who used to be on the team, did like the SpongeBob movie, and he was like the animation director. Like, and this is all talent that's like literally like if I look out my window, I can like see each of these offices, right? Because Montreal is like a village. So the talent here, the density of talent, especially in that category, gaming, visual effects, 3D, is so dense that like all of the great feature films that we go and pay money to watch, they're done here, or not just here, but this is a huge hub for that kind of talent.
Got it. Maybe we'll get into Heboo. I want to talk a bit about maybe the arc of Claynosaurus, but we'll get into that in a second. But can you just explain what Heboo is and kind of like what you guys are launching?
Yeah. I think the easiest way to understand this is like this is a launch pad for IP. And it drives off of the back of all the things we wrote with Claynosaurs, which is effectively like how do you properly launch IP in the entertainment industry in Web3, right? And we see tons of projects come and go, and there's tons of launch pads where people can launch, and there's like tokens go up and down. There's always a lot of losers in that game. There's a lot of winners, and it's like zero sum. But what we do is we say like, hey, look, like to make a creative product successful, you want all of these elements of Web3, which is aligning incentives with your fans, with your holders, with those kinds of people. It's the feedback loops. It's like that really like driven fandom of people like engaging with the brand and so on and so forth. So Hibu is effectively a launch pad that builds in the guardrails so everyone can succeed, right? So for a creator, and we have tons of creators, I just told you we have a really dense talent pool here in Montreal, but just like in globally, we talked to a lot of these people. Those creators want to use these kinds of tools. So we build in that tooling into Hibu. So like how does someone manage a community? How does someone know where to post, what's going on in what places? Like all that tooling is in Hibu. And then similarly, if you're a fan, if you're a contributor or a trader or someone who like, you know, wants to participate in these sorts of things, you're always asking yourself, like, is this a rug? Is this real? You know, I'm taking bets on this property or not. I don't know. On Hibu, you crowdfund on the platform to empower these creators, but the money doesn't get like released until things are proven. Like you have to actually deliver to prove that release. And then the third bit is like we have one token to rule them all, right? Like rather than having this spastic taking a bet on this sort of IP or that IP, our point of view is like it's so early on in the world of Web3. Like if you just take a bet on this system, like that this system works, Hibu token captures that entire creative economy, right? And that way, there's no second guessing a team or an IP at an early stage when you might like a drawing or you might like this clip or you might think it's funny, but it turns out other people don't. Like that's not a reason for someone to lose, right? So Hibu token kind of captures the entire ecosystem, and I think those three elements make it a lot more approachable for a very, very wide audience that is expansive, that is growing outside of Web3 and having them funnel in through this sort of medium.
Okay, cool. And just so I understand, like the IPs that are launching on it, will they have separate tokens or what is it just all under the Hibu token?
It's all under the Hibu token.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and just to clarify a couple things and kind of dumb it down a little bit, we're really going after. So we made a big wave or a big PR push, or I'll call it an organic PR push. So Nick Cab, he's our founder. He's been speaking at the biggest animation events for the last, we'll call it year, right? So all these animation conferences and private events and things like that. He's speaking to all of the network heads. So your Netflixes and your Disneys and your Amazons and all those people, but he's also speaking and reaching and talking to independent animators and people who have had giant licensing deals with Netflix and people who are trying to get to that point. Or they're sitting on really good ideas in IP. And that's really kind of our superpower because we come from this world. We have a direct relationship with those people. And so we're able to talk to them of how we've built Claynosaurs and what we've done from a Claynosaur side of things. Now, all we're doing is we're going to say, hey, we're taking this playbook and we're going to launch this IP platform that you all creators can use. And when we say creators, we're really talking about animators and directors and things like and people like that, not like influencers. So that's a real clear differentiation of what we're saying here. And it's come to our platform, leverage our experience and our know-how in how to build an IP from the ground up, leveraging social media, leveraging community, and leveraging all of this Web3 technology like digital collectibles. And everything is powered by this Hibu token, right? So it's the pool that supports the fans for participating in that type of a social engagement that we've done along the way. So that's like the dumbed down version of how we're supporting the entertainment industry and trying to really change the game there.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, just to get this raise out of the way, this is happening on August 25th, guys. It's happening on Metaplex, so you can go check out their platform. Do you know how much money you guys are looking to raise? Like, what's your goal with this?
Well, actually, it's a fair launch. So we're putting in like 5% of the token, and contributions are made in Solana. And from that, we determine sort of like what the price of that token is and what the fair value of it is. Our point of view is like, yeah, we have some internal targets, but like my guess is as good as yours, to be honest. And the real frame here is like, we want to build this for the next sort of like many decades. We think there is an application case that is not just the entertainment industry, but much wider and longer than that. So, you know, the market will determine like what they think the value is today, and we don't want to like put a number out there that suggests to people one thing or the other. Like, it's market can determine. I can tell you some other numbers though, but you know, for example, there's an easy low-hanging fruit of $3 billion of fundraising that happens every year on Kickstarter and Patreon. And that's actually just taking those two numbers. Like, there's more than that. That's just fan-related donations effectively to creators. And our tokenomics have, you know, whatever we capture from that, 10% of that rolls back into Hibu token purchases. So, and I think the market is way bigger than that, because that's like, you know, those comps are very low-hanging fruit, to be honest. So, no, there's a market there. It's totally untapped. I think in many ways, like the Web3 dream, if you will, is sort of looking at that without really understanding, like, you know, what it means to actually participate with community and all this kind of stuff.
I completely agree. And I see that Nobody Sausage is joining Hibu. So let's maybe talk about the IP here, because I think this is what drives the, you know, economics of this. Is you have good IP, you can sell products, you can sign streaming deals, you can do all these really exciting things. And what's great about this, and why I think, you know, Solana is really excited about this, especially is because it's bringing products to outside crypto audiences. And, you know, I have kids. I know how massive, like, was it the pause? Oh, Paw Patrol. Oh my gosh. Paw Patrol is like a $8 billion a year IP or something like that for Spin Master. It's like big, crazy big. So maybe talk about the IPs on this. We'll go Nobody Sausage, and then we can talk about Claynosaurus and all the cool stuff you're doing. Like, what's the play here with something like Nobody Sausage?
So it's worth noting that right now with Nobody Sausage, we're kind of like, that was an experimental thing that we did with them. We're in the middle of sort of like unwinding that relationship, but I can still talk about the intentions, which I think apply to everything, right? So the idea is that there are tons of brands out there that already exist that have a bunch of fans around them, and they need the support to like basically use those fans and build together with the fans in a way that is accretive to both, right? Or value add for both. So when we first started talking to the group at Nobody, we were, you know, they had done some things already in Web3. They needed a little help. And we thought to ourselves, like, great, these guys have a very wide audience. Now, the ultimate strategy and the ultimate thesis is there are those groups of creators who already have a bunch of fans beneath them. And that brand in particular has like 35 million followers on socials, but that's TikTok and Instagram. And it's like nearly impossible to manage that group of fans on those platforms. Like, they're not made for that. So what a great effort it would be to like, or what a great partnership it would be if we could do that together. That's the natural intention for all of these things. For Claynosaurus, we had the same approach, albeit that's an IP that we created ourselves. We control completely, gave us the freedom to do it properly. And that's a community that's like super, you know, rich and super vibrant. And there's a lot of reciprocity. We've given 15% of the equity in that actual business to our holders, or we're in the process of doing so. And that's this idea of like the fans bring a lot of value to the whole, right? So how does that extend to Hibu? Hibu has the tools to do that, right? So for Clayno, you know, we have a team of people on the community side. We exist on Discord. We exist on Telegram. Obviously, we're on Twitter. We have to also sometimes, you know, we launch products and we do that on Twitter, but then it funnels into a whole other portal. And like, we have a team of people who do that. Not every creator can do that themselves, right? So Hibu brings you the tooling to do that kind of thing, manage everything in a fair way, and distribute that sort of recognition through the token across the medium of fans to creators and so on and so forth.
Got it. And I see here, you know, just so everyone see the Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video. So this has obviously got huge 100K followers. Can you just talk about the Clayno business, like the different lines, how you guys generate revenue on a business like this? And then part of the economics you mentioned flow through to the Hibu token, maybe end with that kind of that value accrual mechanism.
maybe I'll let Blake talk about all the different lines, since he, like he said, covers a lot of bases, and a lot of it is on like all these different lines of business. So I'll let Blake do that, and then we can circle back into the token. So make good place for you to go.
So yeah, I mean, first of all, we'll just start with digital collectibles. I mean, digital collectibles is how we got our start. That's our original collection of NFTs, and we then launched the Saga collection after that, and then a 20K Popkins collection last year, and then most recently a digital card pack. So digital collectibles is something that we'll always be focusing on. It's a core part of our business, and we really do think that we can be the leader in how an IP like a Pokemon can continue to build out a collectible experiences as the brand grows. And this is really a multi-generational a theory or thesis that we have of where, we don't think that when we do these other collections that we're really, limiting or hurting the existing collections that launched before it. It's something that we'll continue to do for a while now. So that's a huge part of how we're doing. We think that entertainment and the way that people interact with content and digital collectibles is going to change. And so we launched that concept through this idea called Watch and Collect, which we'll be rolling out with the launch of the television series. So imagine when you watch a show, you get a commercial break, or at the end of it, you get a free Pokemon card pack for engaging in that content. So that's the whole idea of Watch and Collect, and a big part of what we're building out for a business. Then there's the show itself, right? So the show and the content itself is revenue generating, in that, obviously you can make money through distribution deals and things like that. But at the same time, it really opens up the doors for us for licensing opportunities. And so as we've already had a number of successes from people who are interested in the brand from a short social content perspective, like all of our success on Instagram and TikTok. And now we're really working on a physical product line that, again, is really more towards, I would say, adult collectibles at the start, because that's who our audience is in social media. And as we roll out the television show and our mobile game that we've developed with Gameloft, again, another revenue part there is gaming, huge. And that's the first time we're going to be really talking to these younger audience. That's like the future demographic of Claynosaurus. So right now we're social media, we're adult, we're digital collectibles, we're physical adult collectibles. In 1 year, we'll be kids ages, we'll call it, 6 to 12. We'll have television shows, more master toy licensing deals that speak to that demographic, gaming experiences on mobile, gaming experiences on Roblox. And what we're really doing is creating a multi-generational brand, because we can do that in today's world. You can enjoy it, Josh, and your son can enjoy it, and you can enjoy those things together. And there's going to be different ways to bring people into the ecosystem and the brand, however you see fit, whatever you're interested in.
My son tells me what to buy, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm collecting One Piece cards now because that's his new thing, and I'm like, all right, here we are. Yeah. So that's the same idea that Claynosaurus is doing. It is really a shared experiences for adults now. We all grew up with the best IPs imaginable, and that's why 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds are still spending money on collectibles. You see, Andrew's got Sesame Street shit that he has no business having as 30-something.
Great, man.
But they're $250 Sesame Street collectibles, and it's a completely different thing than the Fisher-Price Sesame Street toy. And so, we think we can create this brand and go in at it at the same time, or at least in these stages that make the most sense to us. And so that's how we're going to really succeed as a brand.
And we covered the rise of gotcha mechanisms here on this, like going back to April, we had this episode with the big collector crypt, and they were just kind of like $20 million a week in volume. And no one was really talking about it. And this thing just kind of went viral, and it's just like taken off ever since. And it's driven a lot of the demand for the physical cards, because they have this mechanism, they now need to go out and acquire product to have on their store. Well, they got people going to Pokemon machines all over the country now to try and get it in. They're going to card shows, like spending millions. I think they said $2 million a month is their budget for acquiring new inventory. And that's up from like hundreds of grand, even just 6 months, 8 months ago. So, all right, the overlay here is we're seeing this massive demand for physical collectibles. Maybe let's talk about the revenue of these businesses, because ultimately why someone's going to buy this token is because they want to get exposure to the IPs on the launch pad and the kind of economic upside, because IP is hot right now. Pokemon is hot, One Piece, etc. Yeah, let's maybe talk a bit about, like, I don't know if you disclose this, but what is Klano's revenue like today? Is it 1 million, 10 million, 100 million? Like,
have we ever disclosed that, Blake? I don't think we have.
I mean, we say revenue generated up into this.
I think, honestly, I'm happy, being radically transparent. I'm all for it. Like, I can tell you roughly. So, first of all, the revenue streams that we have are predominantly digital collectibles. And then secondary to that is physical collectibles and physical goods and stuff like that. The margin on one and the other are vastly different, right? So a physical thing costs money to build, and every unit costs more money, versus the digital, where like there's a cost to build, but then there's a ton of economies of scale. But ultimately, we're in Canada, so like I think I did a post on this like not long ago. Actually, I think we do, like, in Canadian dollars, the average over the last 3 years is around $6.5 million each year. It's a little lumpy because you've got like different royalties and like NFT drops and stuff like that. This year, 2026, is a little bit in the middle of that at the moment, but that makes sense because we're halfway through the year. So it's about that. Keeping in mind, though, like, the business that supports that is 3D, right? Like we said at the beginning of the call, like, it's feature film quality 3D. And if you pop up like a Klanosaurus NFT and tell me any other NFT even holds a candle to that, you can't, right? Like, those are actual models that Pixar would use in a movie, right? That's like that asset is worth like tens of thousands of dollars just by itself, right? The rig and that model. So it costs a lot of money to do what we do. So like at the bottom line level, we're effectively break even, right? Like, we just invest everything back into the business, keep building and keep growing and so on and so forth. Over the last few years, the growth doesn't really show up on the revenue line so much as it shows up on like the actual number of people that are participating in the brand. And that's just how entertainment is built, where you're like, kind of like, the fact that we even have revenue this early on in our life is incredible, right? And then when you go and talk to Spin Master or to Netflix or to Hasbro or these big partners, that's where you kind of get like a big step up. So Klanosaurus just got put onto Amazon Prime literally a month ago. I think we just
feels like the first step. Yeah,
that's the first step. That's like a small step for Klanosaurus and a giant step for Web3. Like, ain't nobody got even close to that in Web3, right? And I think it's worth noting, right? Because all of that effort, all that reinvestment, it will start showing up on the top line now, right? Like, now you start to see liftoff, because now it's like, once you tell your mom or your dad or your friend who's not in Web3, that's like, hey man, I got these like digital JPEGs, but these ones are animated. Like, they're a little cool. They're still like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
You're like, this is a show on Amazon. Suddenly you're in a different world, right?
Yeah. And I think and we're in this many doors of physical retail. Like, what about that side of the physical side? I mean, you have some product behind you, but is this product in Walmart today, or
Blake is the king of this castle? But to be brief, like, we've done a bunch of launches that are like, these are both limited edition ones. They got sold out, I think, in the first like couple of hours or half day, right, Blake?
Yeah.
Then we have like a more run of the mill like plushie line. We did blind boxes earlier in the year. The blind boxes were a hit. I think we sold like 5,000 to 6,000 of those in a few days. So the physical side is growing. Ultimately, the game there is grow enough to prove the numbers to then get into these like retail facing stores.
Yeah.
We've had some early conversations with Walmart, but we didn't want to be discovered in Walmart. We're like a content first brand that wanted to be discovered through the content. So now that we're producing the content, we're starting to have these very fruitful conversations. And one of the crazy cool strategies that we're deploying right now is actually this like Japan first, Korea first strategy. It's headlined by David Horvath, who's, you might know as the creator of Ugly Dolls, but is a savant in this category specifically. And the idea there is, the cool thing travels east to west. Like, Pokemon, One Piece, like these are both examples of that. And so being discovered in a cool shop in Tokyo is very different than being discovered in Walmart or Target. And both strategies are fine, but they're different, right? So, but I think we've built up to have this IP first, content first layer, really retain that collectorship, that coolness, which we think is not bought but is earned. And so the retail facing strategy now is starting to move forward on the basis of Asia first, content coming out, and then starting to strike more and more licensing and merchandising deals. One of our advisors used to be the head of commercial product at Disney, and before that at Hasbro, Simon Waters. So we've got really great advisors around us, and we're very fortunate to have that kind of brain power in the room when we talk about these things.
Got it. So just so I understand kind of the economics here. So let's say you did, even numbers, 10 million in revenue. What flows through to the Hibu token launchpad, kind of economics?
So wait, okay. So I'm gonna zoom in to zoom out a little bit. So first, on the Klano property, our Klanosaurus property, we actually deployed or we're deploying 15% of the equity in that company to our holders. We announced that a few months ago, or not even a few months ago, like a month ago, right, Blake? So we announced that a month ago. We're in the process of going through the actual like legal and process for that. But we're giving 15% of that equity. So those holders of Klanosaurs are going to have a real piece of that business. And that's going to be sort of the shtick on that one. Then the question to your question is like, well, Hibu, the token, what's the value that goes through there? In that regard, that Hibu ecosystem is opening up a big crowdfunding funnel for a bunch of creators who want to crowdfund around their communities and their fans and build with them on an ongoing basis. And I mentioned the tools earlier that empowers them to do that. So the revenue line there, or what funnels back into the Hibu token, is that 10% of every crowdfunding event goes back towards buying Hibu token, right? And that is a massive funnel of creator funding that comes in at $3 billion a year just on a couple of platforms that are, like I said, not offering much in return. And I think that's we already know it's a greater than $1 trillion per annum business in the creator economy.
Right. And so is there a mechanism where if there's a successful IP on the platform, there's upside from that as well? Or is it just for the creator fundraising?
So it's a good question. So at first, creator fundraising, but that would be then there's this big obvious question of like, well, what's this equity thing have to do with it? So I'll give you because you're nailing into it, is like the idea of this platform from the get-go was and still remains to have actual economic buy-in for the underlying holders or the people contributing to those brands. The exercise we did with Klanosaurs was a 1.5, maybe 2-year exercise with legal, regulatory, paperwork, way too much money, but to really dissect like how does one actually do that? And so what we're doing now is launching the crowdfunding level on the platform, and the longer North Star or like the longer dated objective is to eventually add tooling that allows those creators to actually do fundraising events that are equity related and benefit in the way you're describing. The reason we don't have that on day one isn't it's basically something that's very, very expensive to do, and you can't do it as a day one startup, right?
Yeah. It's expensive to do. But the question people ask, and this is one of the most common questions in crypto, is we've seen these token launches, these products that are successful, they're bootstrapped by the community, the capital from trading fees. These things then get an offer, here's 20 million for your business for the equity. That's what the investors or the acquirer wants to buy. And then the token just trends back to zero and it's over. And that's kind of the what we're trying to avoid, obviously, in the space. And so, yeah, I don't know if that, was how you wanted to address that side of it.
No, it's 100% true. And I think the biggest problem in this regard is that exact conflict of interest, where it's like, well, are you working as a team? Are you working for the token or are you working for the equity stack? So like when that $20 billion buyer comes or whoever it is, like that ticket, who gets the money? Well, it's the equity. And if you're not the equity, then how do you get paid? There are some, tokens that do this right, where there is no equity stack. Like they just funnel all the value through the token. And that's like this quasi equity replacement, which I think is cool. But the ultimate intention is for the token stack, not to replicate the equity stack. It's to work independently as the currency of exchange, and then to have equity as an option for those people when it makes sense, right? And then to confer value across those two mediums in a clear way. So I think that's what we're building towards, which is like this bigger, sustainable future. Because right now, I think what you see is people hitting a wall where you've either got like RWAs where people just take a stock or equity, the same thing, right? And they wrap it with a token, but you're still a stock, you're still equity, like you're still that thing and then, or you've got people who completely ignore the equity stack and they just build on the token, but then that precludes you from a lot of things that you need to do elsewhere, right? Like you're not able then to do any sort of income offline. Like what happens when, Hasbro's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this.
Of
toy
course,
deal
they need a legal entity to do business with. Yeah, no,
So we're connecting some
just
dots because there's some platform companies that fucking kick ass at this, like in Web3, right? But if you're going to be offline by any degree, you need a better sort of married system, which is what we're working towards.
I understand. And I think maybe the message to people is that this still has to get a little more fleshed out, is what I am understanding. And it's just want to make sure, especially for our audience, that they know kind of what they're getting when they, participate. And so, it's very interesting. Look, I understand the power of Paw Patrol and the IP. I've actually been to the Spin Master offices. They used to be a client of mine. So I know early days how that IP started and just ended up being super, super big. And if Claynosaurus becomes that, it goes from a $6 million to a 60 to a $600 million line, over 5 years, that potentially is possible. And people are wondering, like, hey, if I'm buying this, I want to be a part of that as well, right? And supporting that ecosystem. So, cool. Anything else that we didn't touch on that you think is really important for people to know about your business and the different IPs that you have coming? Like, do you have other IPs that are in the roadmap for Hebo?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest note that I would end on, because the value prop of the token is predicated on this, other IPs coming and real creators coming and building things of substance. So I mean, Nick is not on the call with us now, but we've got Nick and other people on the team who've been out and spreading the word on Hebo at all these animation conferences amongst the artistic community, amongst the creator economy and stuff like that for the last 2 years. And we've got a pipeline of really, really strong creators. And our approach to this is actually quite simple. It's like there are creators out there who have audiences that have nowhere to live. And that's not like a cold start problem like most platforms have. That's you get on the platform and immediately everything needs to work and people have an environment to work with, right? So we think there's a ton of low-hanging fruit there. We've identified a bunch of really great creators that we're excited to get onto the platform. We're probably going to launch this in a couple of months after the token launch, maybe a month or so after, and then get some people on there right away. Like you might want to have to.
I mean, the strategy for us is pretty simple too. Just like launching any type of tech platform, is we want to white glove service the first creators that we bring onto the platform and make sure that they are set up for success to use it. There's certain criteria that we're looking at when we identify these creators. Size is one thing, but actually it's a variety of sizes. We are talking to very big name people that everybody listening would know if you have a Netflix subscription or a Disney subscription. We are talking with people that you wouldn't know off of the me mentioning their names, but you would know the breadth of work that they've done in their career, and they're really looking to do something on their own outside of those streaming platforms. And so, and then there's also what we are looking at is the variety in projects and animation styles so that we kind of can hit each demographic. Obviously, it goes without saying, is like, we would want an anime on there. We would want an adult animation. We would want so we're really looking for things that are a bit different than Claynosaurs, but also that we think can be of value at different stages. The big animation directors or animators, the mid-sized ones, and the smaller people just getting started out. And for us, it's going to be fun to kind of see how each one of those leverages the platform differently, and how we can build tools to make sure that we're supporting them the best way possible. And then we'll do a phase 2 slate. Think of it like a Marvel like movie slate launch. Like, this is our 2027 slate. This is our 2028 slate. This is 20. We'll start to do that until we actually get to the point where we're like, okay, we feel like we have enough confidence here to kind of open this platform up to anyone with, of course, some. We don't want to be Roblox where you're just put shit on here, right? We'll never get down to that path, but at least at the start, it's going to be a very fine-tuned process to make sure that we're bringing on the best of the people that we've been in contact with. And luckily for us, our inbox is full with animators, creators. Just, they don't want to work with Netflix and Disney. K-pop Demon Hunters is the best example. They sold the business. Nobody believed in them. It sat on a shelf. Netflix finally bought it from Sony for dirt cheap, nothing. The biggest IP on the planet last year, and the creators get jack shit. And so
really,
everybody wants to avoid that situation. We want to give the creators and have them retain some level of ownership that this is their baby. This is what they've worked their whole lives for. Why would they sell their soul to a streaming platform for a check up front? So those are things that we're trying to solve in the animation industry in general. And we think that we are the best suited to do that based off of what we've done with Claynosaurs so far.
So there was a question, it's not showing in here because X's streaming API is broken or something, but it says, what's the target demographic for Claynosaurs? I think we talked about that. There's adult on the digital side, more kids on the collectible side, and obviously the Amazon thing. But then there's a crossover where my kid sees it and then wants me to buy it for him because I'm the adult, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's multi-generational. That's the thing, is every product is going to have its own target demographic. And we think that in 2026, that is completely doable to achieve. Now, if you talk to a legacy toy maker, I want to know what shelf to put this on in the retail store, targeted to which demographic. And it's like, bro, nobody's buying that shit anyways. That's why Target literally just launched its own Pop Mart section in every Target across America because they can't sell toys.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the game in terms of what we think is going to be the future of digital collectibles and physical collectibles and IP launching in general. And all these studio executives, they just have no fucking idea.
And so let's talk about the launching part. So give me an example of what a launch will look like. You have this IP that's coming, launched on Hebrew, and this is post the token. So tokens, let's say the tokens launch, you guys had a successful raise. This platform has buzz. Everyone knows who Claynosaurus is. They're like, okay, I want to be a part of the next IP. Walk me through what happens. Am I using crypto? Am I showing up with my credit card? Like, what do I get in return as a launcher? Is it just being a fan, or is it like Kickstarter where you get, a version of the product back? Or am I investing in the IP? Like, give me a lay of the land of what a launch looks like.
The last two that you hit are kind of like the day one and then the day end, right? So day one is like it's more like akin to Kickstarter, and I'll build on that with an example in a second. And then in the future, we'd love to be able to do that at the equity layer too, where people are actually getting buy into the projects. Fact of the matter is, like, there's a huge market of people that are doing like the Kickstarter thing that we can capture ahead of that. And then what does it look like to participate? What does a drop look like? Each project has their own feed, and a feed has just a series of drops. Drops are like these moments in time that memorialize what it was like, what it was to be there at that time for this particular IP. The drop doesn't have to be a funding event, by the way. A drop can just be like, hey, like, we're trying to figure out like the voice for Tyson of Claynosaurs as the show comes up. Like, let's do a vote, or let's hop on and make this decision together with the community. Or a drop can be someone sharing something, or it could be a community-driven drop that's like, let's have an event and meet up over at this place, and here's like a POAP to sort of like keep that thing memorialized, right? Drop is a moment in time that exists in the brand. The more drops that you participate in, the more active you are inside of that community, the more social equity you're creating for yourself and the more fan value you create for the project. We've measured, we have a fan intelligence system that measures this for Claynosaurs. We continue to grow on it. And it's basically like a fan intelligence graph, if you will, of what that social equity looks like for everybody. So participation equals Hibu, right? Equals Hibu token, to be more precise. Then at the crowdfunding level, what is it like? If we're saying, okay, what does it look like to crowdfund? Usually crowdfunding events are these like big momentous things like, oh, we're going to do this big project. What we've learned and what Web3 has learned really well too is that sometimes people just want to mess around. Like I just want to do some plushies. Like maybe people like plushies, maybe they don't. So you could do a fundraising event that's like, hey, I need to hit a minimum bar of 10,000 just so I could, hit this, minimum MOQ for these plushies if people want them. And then the platform manages whether or not that capital is released based on hitting design milestones and hitting, prototyping milestones and so on and so forth, right? So you can have a drop that's, 10 grand minimum and raises 50 grand. And in return for that, people would get the product and Hibu tokens and, as part of the participation. Then you can have drops that are much more momentous. Like we're doing a show on Amazon Prime or we're doing a show in Amazon Prime. We have the first teasers on there, right? So a show like that is going to cost like $10 million, right? So that's a huge fundraising event. Now, we fund Claynosaurs differently than this, but you could do an event that's like as big as that, for which the fan rewards are much bigger. A lot more Hibu token is allocated to that and recycles through the project. What do people get in return? Yeah, there's all kinds of things inside of Hibu that can reward the fan. Day one is not equity, but like I said, we're working towards that eventually.
Yeah, I mean, for some collectors, the MOQ means minimum order quantity for those that are following along. And basically how it is a manufacturer needs to have, certain, factory says you have to have 10,000 units before I agree to this contract. And then, you go out and crowdsource it and then there's 10,000. I mean, there's people in this category, like Blippi was acquired by Moonbug and right. Moonbug has gone on to, monetize that franchise through these types of mechanisms. Okay. Very, very cool. I kind of open to wrapping here. I mean, let's wrap in the next kind of few minutes. Anything that I've missed or you think that is important for people to know?
I think I've said my piece. I don't know, Blake, you're usually the one who's got the checklist over there.
No, I mean, we've covered everything. I think one missing piece about this whole Hibu platform is it really is like a validation platform for networks and things like that. Like we think that the data aggregation of a user and a fan is going to be extremely valuable for the platform and each individual project that launches there. And that's just like something that these studios can't get. So that's a big part of it. But in terms of like future stuff that we have going on, obviously it's like the token is launching pre-sale next week, 48-hour sale, 25% boost if you buy in the first 24 hours. And then we're hitting the ground running of launching the first project, the first version of the platform so that we can start to bring in those early participant IPs and start testing with the existing audiences, our existing audience, and their existing audiences as well.
I have two questions.
Go for it.
Two remaining questions. So I want to understand what a drop might look like. Let's say you do this 10,000 MOQ for a really cool IP. People want to collect the thing, right? So what they get in return is let's say I'm buying 500 of the 10,000 MOQ because I know that on eBay, these things are going to be more expensive than what I bought it at. So I buy it. It's like $50 for, 10,000. That's 500,000, I think, don't put my math on that. But is this a case where then the platform gets 10% of that order, or that money raised? They then go buy the Hibu token. And then plus I have this plushie that has potentially some collector value. Is that like an example of a drop that could happen in the future mechanically?
Yeah, you've nailed like every single point there. That 10% like of the 500,000 that you said, so 50 grand in that example, would go directly towards buying Hibu token. And that Hibu token would go into a fan reward pool that would emit fan rewards to those fans over the life of the project, right?
Got it.
So if
And
you
then
buy, if you participate in the launch drop or the plushie launch drop, you would then get Hibu token as a reward from the fan pool for participating in it. So it's a double bonus. You get the collectible, you get the token, you participated in the event that happened.
Got it. And when is, so from, you know, you're raising August 25th, from that point forward, when is the platform launch milestone date? And when do you think you'll start seeing IPs pop up on the platform?
So the platform will launch in the fall. If we haven't chosen a date just yet, but probably October, if I had to guess. I'm telling you, I'm going to say October now, and someone's going to punch me in the face and say now it's going to be November. But something
the internet never forgets.
But we're trying to get it out as soon as possible. But yes, fall of this year it'll be out. The first IP to pop on there will obviously be Claynosaurs. We want that community to come in there, like hold strong, and sort of
Bug
like just
test, rip apart the features, give us the feedback. We need our community to be really like the testers of the platform before we feel comfortable bringing on the first IPs, and then that'll be shortly after.
Yeah, I think we'll bring some IPs on pretty quickly, but we need our community to come in strong and give us the feedback they also love to give us.
I don't know if we can say like how many IPs we would ideally like to have.
I mean,
by next year, let's say.
So I mean, we've got this is gonna be the same thing as me saying a date where I'm gonna be like, why the
fuck? Exactly.
But since
the rule on MCG is if you start talking about it, you have to finish your.
Okay.
We're gonna finish. We're definitely not gonna leave anyone hanging. That would be bad. That would be even worse at this point. No, I think so. We're looking to do like at least half a dozen in the first, I think, 3 to 4 months. And I think there's aspiration to get beyond that, like to get to a full dozen before we go open source sometime in 2027. To be honest, like we've actually identified, I mean, at this point, how many projects, Blake? Like dozens.
Yeah, we have so many great options already.
And some of them are so genuinely awesome that like I just want to see the project start going because I want to be a fan of this project.
Yeah.
So no, that's the current aspiration, but ultimately everything we're cooking here is like the Clayno team. I say team, I mean community, but that's as close to us as they are. Like comes in there and kind of like battle tests it, then get a few of these really great creators that are bought into the thesis, know us well. Some of these are like really big guys too and girls with kick-ass IP, and they understand that fan creator relationship. Get them to like battle test it further, and then build in enough tooling that like it's full open source. And that is a flywheel that is impressively big and long. Like I just don't think it stops anytime soon. And that gives us, billions of dollars per year of input if we're able to do it correctly. So I think there's a lot to be excited for. And back to the question, I think half a dozen was probably and I don't know, Blake, if you've got some more precision than that.
I think that's a good estimate to work off of. I mean, like we have to have enough, like I said, variety, I think is really important for us for how we launch this platform to make sure we have something that's there for everybody. And some people want to start with the smaller, some people just love independent, smaller artists. And some people just love bigger artists that they've already known and they've seen for a long time. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do is like bring in people with established communities and bring in people with, enough equity on social media to where they, can bring in a small audience of fans, but also we see the potential and the growth of that IP and that brand. Because we are tastemakers as much as the community is tastemakers. That's what we want everybody to kind of walk away with, is that you were here on SoundCloud, you found the next Post Malone, you found the next Taylor Swift, and you got rewarded for doing that and supporting them along their journeys. That's the goal.
I got it. I got to leave with one caveat here, or one, kind of innuendo of how popular plushies are. So the Toronto Blue Jays had this as their home run, mascot or whatever. In MLB, everyone has this like home run mascot when a home run was hit. It's this plushie toy that the guy bought in LA against one of the games. I think it was LA that they were playing at a local toy store. It turned out the manufacturer was in a small town here in Canada, and they sold out everywhere because obviously people see it on TV, it goes viral on social media, and then everyone's like, oh, I got to buy them. This toy retails for $40. It was reselling for $500 on eBay. And the manufacturer totally sold out, had no inventory, had no manufacturing MOQ. It was a long run toy production that they had done years ago. And now they're trying to restart and kind of capture on this momentum. So just to say, some of these IPs can get kind of picked up for any random reason. Again, this was a random event. They needed a new home run mascot. The guy thought this was cool. They did it on the Toronto Blue Jays and ended up becoming a North American viral thing. So
it's crazy.
Interesting space you guys are in. Interesting time for plushies, collectibles, etc. Guys, Hebu, Claynosaurus, thank you so much. We will be watching this one. Good luck on your raise as well.
Appreciate it.
Yes. See you guys later.
Later.
Appreciate you guys. And good luck, as I mentioned. All right. That was Hebu. I love it. I think its IP is cool. Definitely cool.
Dude, you were cooking on that. What's any takeaways?
Yeah, I think to me, it's just the when an IP comes on the platform, I think, my first thought is like, if I'm investing in it, I'm dropping 50, 100 grand kind of situation. If I'm just buying a plushie on the platform because, hey, I like the IP, I'm spending $50, right? Maybe. Because I like the IP, I'm supporting it. So what I'm trying to understand was helping the audience trying to understand is like what they're buying into, right? Like, am I buying into a platform where IP is launching? Am I buying into, if I help this crowdsource, am I getting the upside of that? Am I buying into Claynosaurus where, that's on now on Amazon Prime and that goes viral and they're the next Paw Patrol that's generating billions of dollars? Like, is that going to flow through to the Hebu token? Like, these are kind of things that I'm like, I kind of understand, but kind of still figuring out. So I think, this is a do your own DD. But, team's been active. They're very talented artistically. They've built a really great business. So I do think they can execute. It's just kind of like, what this platform is what I'm trying to figure out. So that's my takeaways.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, not everyone's a meme coin trader and can just buy into the vibes, right? Everyone wants to kind of understand what they're getting exposure to. So, no, 100%. I do think it's a cool mechanic. I mean, we've seen meme coins that have launched based on the real world IP of something else, and then we've seen those meme coins get challenged in court. So I think having this sort of like official pathway for IP that's already out there and widely recognized to have like an official representation on chain, I think that's really that other people can support and buy into. I think that's awesome. So interested to see how they grow and exactly where they take this. Okay, guys, that was
Let's trench.
It's time for the trenches. It's time to trench. So we got done with our interviews. Wonderful interviews. We appreciate all of our guests for coming on. Now's the time we dig into on-chain. What the heck does that look like? What are we seeing? What's popping off? We have a full list. We have a full list of things that the Discord wanted us to make sure we get to. I'm going to start with a few things on the alpha side that I picked up earlier. So let me do this. Bang bang. I am okay, so JOH. Okay. I'm just like separating some of the tickers real quick so I can see what.
Oh yeah, exactly. Are you pasting it into the private chat?
Yeah, I was pasting it in private. All right, there we go.
Dude, it's so annoying. I don't know why the private
StreamYard, just one or two little things, man. Just one or two little things, and I think we'll be solid. One or two little things, and we'll be solid.
All right, guys. I'm also dropping in the Discord just the YouTube channel because I can't see any X chats coming through. So
yeah, we can't see anything.
Questions or drop tickers in live, please go watch on YouTube. It's So if you just go to YouTube, search MCG, and it should pop up. But our handle is at MCG_live on YouTube if you backslash. So there we go. Okay.
So, all right. So here's a few things, a few alpha things. Let me share my screen. Boom. Let's do share. Let's go ahead and do bookmarks. All right. So couple things to start out with. First off, this comment by by Bill, the late night Onchain guy, I think was really we've done 650 interviews at this point, and I think hasn't done as much, but I think from what he has done, he's seeing what we see. There's no justification for not coming on the show. I'm bearish anyone that doesn't come on MCG, and I'm going to continue to be bearish on that. So I just a real quick point on that, but quick alpha on BNB chain, guys. I'm going cross chain. So here's the there's a thing on BNB called Ben. Now I know the name, just rock with me here. You guys might remember Unitree Robotics. So Unitree Robotics was this Chinese robotics company. And I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit here so we can pull up Grok, and I can ask Grok exactly how much this was oversubscribed. But Unitree, they're going public tomorrow, and their ICO is super oversubscribed. I wonder if this
their
tweet
ICO
here tells us, and the ICO, freaking whatever that is. It's 8,000x IPO. They're 8,000x retail oversubscribed in this humanoid robotics company in China. Now, I heard about this, I think it was like last week or something like that. But I was like, wow, like there's no way to get like any on-chain exposure. That's a huge narrative. I kind of just slotted it in my mind as future bullishness on the robotics sector. I mean, 8,000x oversubscribed for a robotics company is absolutely wild. So in classic on-chain crypto fashion, the meme coin degens, they have created a meme coin of their robot, of the robot for Unitree, which is called Ben, which means bullish spirit, and it's paired with the Unitree stock.
Woo!
Okay. So now we're starting to kind of get it. Now the IPO goes live tomorrow at the 19th. Goes live tomorrow the 19th. And maybe
shoot me that CA, bro. Shoot me that CA.
I got you. So here's the CA here. Let me copy that. Let me paste that over here so I can show you guys the chart. And then I can paste that in private as well, Josh, so I can share that with you. Perfect. So the Unitree technology will be listed for trading on the 19th, with its market value expected to surge. This robot, also known as Ben, the first Chinese robot with the word bull in its name, will also take off. Unitree technology will be listed on the market on the 19th. Okay. Yeah. All right. Same thing. So you kind of get the idea here. I'm just reading out the tweet, but you essentially get the idea. The first robot of the 8,000x oversubscribed IPO of Unitree, their robot has now been fully tokenized on chain, and the token on BNB will also be paired with the stock itself. So I think that's absolutely massive. He called this at 22K. Bro, Kitty is crazy. There's no way. Yeah, so I follow this guy. I'm also in his alpha, not alpha, but I'm in his TG as well. So yeah, I try to scan. But anywho,
man, BNB has some motion, like this funny, cow dude, Mars coin, like this Ben thing. They're all
Here is the Ben chart, by the way. Here is the Ben chart.
Oh,
So
yo.
there's yeah, bro. I mean, look at this. You know, pretty much. I mean, there's not really much to chart on this, and you know, to be honest with you guys, like if you just look at the chart, bro, look at the hourly. I mean, that tells you pretty much everything. Everything you need to know. I mean, we have, you know, it's closer to the lows than the highs. Obviously, it's been popping off more so recently with the event. It has a clear catalyst. I actually wrote down a few things. I've been really working on my execution. And so I've been working on like journaling my trades and stuff like that. And one thing that I have been really focused on is working on, like, you know, on chain, what's your invalidation? Like on perps, it's much easier. Perps, it's much easier to identify your invalidation based on your system. I trade with using ICT, so I can set my level at a particular spot on the chart, and that is my clear invalidation. But you know, with perps, it's harder to kind of make those gains with perps, and but easier to make those gains on chain, at least in my personal experience, because I guess my perp system isn't as refined as perhaps it could be or should be. But with on chain, invalidation is hard. Gains are easier, but invalidation is hard. At what point is your your thesis invalid? For some people, it's time. For some theses, it's price. For others, it's, you know, maybe there's a particular part of your thesis that gets invalidated. Maybe the team lied about something, or you know. So there's all these like things that you can't just put it on a chart. You can't put that invalidation on the chart, and so you kind of have to like come into a trade knowing what is the invalidation for this trade. Is it something on the fundamental side that could potentially break? Is it the time? Maybe you're preparing for a catalyst at some point, or is it the price? You're literally just trading off the chart, and hey, look, if it goes below this price, like, you know, the trade is chopped, right? So I've been really trying to like dial in on that, and I figured I'd share that with you guys straight from Chill's journal. I might even write a piece about that or something. But that's the first BNB. That's the first BNB play that I wanted to share with you guys.
Are you in it yet, or are you thinking?
No, yeah, I'm
below the purple line. You might scale in. What's your thoughts?
No, I'm in. I mean, look, here's the thing. If you're not in right now, you can approach this from two different perspectives, right? You can either just blast it. It's at 1.34 mil. Call it cheap relative to its all-time high at 4 mil almost. And you know, with the catalyst tomorrow, who knows? Maybe it could blast further. So there's that. A. B is, okay, maybe I wait for a pullback to the line and maybe set a limit order. Or C, a mixture of both. Like maybe I split my bag in two. I put in half now. I put in half now at the top, and then I put in half, you know, at this like limit. Put a limit order here, like at the line, and maybe you go from there. But here's the thing: every chain is different. I don't know how BNB does with their charts. You know, from what I understand, BNB is just like kind of like CZ Crime, and you know, Binance Crime, and you know, anything that kind of could get a little shout out from Soft Shill or something like that from Binance or whatever you want to say. But you know, Binance could kind of add some motion to this. And then I think too that there's just like a cohort of really cracked BNB traders. A lot of people have been making some, you know, some money on BNB. So yeah, definitely a few ways you can go at this. For me, the way I went after it was, I saw it at $1 million. So I'm like, yo, it's $1 million market cap. You know, it's cheap. I'm not gonna, you know, wait for you know, my lines to get hit or anything like that. I'm just gonna ape it and just keep the thesis simple, even if I have to, like, you know, even if I don't get the absolute perfect entry. So that's how I approach that. The other one I wanted to show you guys was, ooh-wee. By the way, y'all saw this? Y'all saw this? Did y'all see this? Yesterday on stream, we literally talked about this yesterday. I told you guys that Stack, we went through the full thesis on Stack. Actually, I gotta make a post about that one here post stream. But we called out the Head and Shoulders, and I basically told you guys, I mean, look, I'm gonna just make sure that line is as big as can be for you guys. See that line right there? Bang. I told you guys exactly what was going to play out. Told you guys, 750K market cap, looking good. Went through the full thesis as far as, the NFT collection. The other thing that I wanted to update you guys on as far as Stack is concerned, I know the Discord wanted us to mention this, wanted to put this on the list of tokens to talk about today. But basically, like the Pawns team, they actually went ahead and changed their PFP, which was super crazy. Let me actually show that to you guys real quick here. Let me show you guys that real quick. Here you go. Here you go. So we see that Mead, he actually changed his PFP to the Stackers PFP. So looking good here with the with Stack. And again, we talked about this yesterday. Trading volume is what kind of drives the rewards and stuff like that. What can drive volume? Well, it could be a partnership with Pawns. We talked about this yesterday. Now it's kind of looking a little bit more likely. Pawns in their article, they mentioned that they're working on a few, big things with big, ecosystem players and stuff like that. So I really like what Pawns is doing. I mean, Pawns. I really like what Stackers are doing, and it seems like they're getting a lot of support from the Pawns ecosystem, from the Robinhood ecosystem more broadly, and it seems like their community is actually pretty cracked as well. Again, almost 20%, probably 20% burned at this point. Maybe we go to their website real quick. But 60% paid out, up 60%, $60,000 paid out, 10%, almost 11% of the NFTs are burned. And then you also have 20%, over 20% of the tokens that are burned as well. And the NFTs that we talked about yesterday, those are also like going nuclear as well. And I knew I should have went on OpenSea and showed that while we were on stream yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, but maybe I can go to OpenSea real quick and let's take a look. Yeah. So here is OpenSea. As you can see, trending on the Robinhood chain. Number 2 is the Stackers NFT collection. Floor price. Let's look at analytics. Let's look at volume and price. Today is the 18th. Yesterday, we talked about this at somewhere around like $200. Somewhere around, wait, 817. Actually, oh no, look at that. Yeah, $200. On stream, 325, sub $200. And it rallied to $360. So that's like near a 2x from our stream call out. It's since then cooled off to now we're back at sub $200 levels again. But I think it might even be time to start monitoring like certain NFTs as well. Because again, these NFTs have rewards in them. You're not just buying a PFP anymore. That was the FUD in 2021. You're not just buying a PFP anymore. You're now buying a worker essentially. I mean, you're buying something that can actually reward you in real tokens or real tokenized stocks. So I think that's really really cool. By the way, guys, our X chat is down. I think we mentioned that, but just in case you guys didn't know, if there are some comments coming through the X chat. We cannot see it, unfortunately. So what I might do actually is I might go on my I might go and just view our comment section from like my phone or something. So that way I can at least see if, dude, Crypto Jones, HFK. Oh my goodness, you guys have been like absolutely like crazy in the chat.
Damn, bro. Man, I'll try and get this fixed. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll try reconnecting. This might be an X problem, to be honest with you, but we'll try and get that sorted. But go to YouTube, guys. Go to YouTube.
Yeah, HFK, you said lighters on the move. Okay, all right. I'll make sure we keep up with the X chat, whether I have to use it, from my phone or my tablet and just like view it from there. Like we'll make sure. I want to make sure y'all are in the conversation. Even yesterday, Top Fumbler was in the chat, and like I just couldn't see anything. So, but either way, Stack is looking really, really good. Stack is looking really, really good. A lot of deflationary mechanisms. You guys know I love those plays. I prioritize those plays over everything. Here is another piece of alpha for you guys that I wanted to consider with you. Here's the other BNB play. Behemoth. Now it has some like crazy like Chinese ticker behind it, in front of the Behemoth ticker, but Behemoth. This is this was made by a 16-year-old. Asian 16-year-old, not saying Asian to be racist or anything, but just pointing that out.
No, you're good. He's in Asia, right? So
so basically this is we talked about Behemoth yesterday, and right now it's sitting at about $1 million, just a little bit below where we talked about it yesterday. I don't even think we looked at the chart yesterday. But essentially I wanted to give you guys a little bit more just deeper dive as far as like what the what it is. So they built a 4-bit processor on chain. So basically it's like a Bitcoin miner completely like on chain is what I understand. 2,251 components, NAND gates, flip-flops running Fibonacci cycle by cycle and ticking with BNB blocks. So the part that got bullish is what's next. The protocol is supposed to open up so anyone can build their own on-chain processors, connect them together, and potentially create increasingly complex CPUs. Basically, Lego for on-chain compute. And Behemoth isn't just slapped onto the narrative. The token itself represents a transistor. That's the type of weird, technically insane crap that crypto was made for. Okay, yeah, that's more subjective, that statement, but essentially, I told when I told you guys about this yesterday, I said CZ himself interacted with this young kid, and and he was like wanting to. Still, Top Fumbler, your comment came through. By the way, still here, your comment
we've
came
broken through somehow.
Crypto Jones says, Asian, you say? Bullish. So yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Sounds like it's a little bit like technically dense. Like I have to understand, like 4-bit processors are pretty insane. From what I remember from looking at, man, there's another token on Solana, that the Indian team that was building their own 4-bit processor. But I have to look into each of these little components to see exactly what each of these little things mean. But all I know is CZ interacted with it. It's pretty insane technology. And if I know CZ, I know he likes to kind of support these things that are building on chain to kind of encourage building on BNB. So I think this is another one that, likely does well. Full disclosure, I am in that. So, just wanted to make sure that you guys
the
know
old
that.
days of logic gates. I know this kind of stuff. I remember
Logic gates. I don't honestly, bro. I have no clue.
That's what these are. So and logics. I can't even say. It's like ones and zeros on off, right? And it's like if the input is on, then this thing happens, or if it's off, this thing happens, and then you string them together and you can create, like, that's how computers are built, basically. Like your CPU processor has the bunch of these like connected to each other that do different things, and that's how the ones and zeros happen, which then turns
Got
into
you.
computer code. Yeah, so this is like the
Got you.
fundamental layers of, I don't know, someone who's better at computer science probably knows more than I do, but yeah, that's what I remember.
Got you. Well, here's the chart. Here's the chart. Honestly,
Oh
like
yeah, I
again,
understand this. Get this.
yeah, like that part, like I'll try to understand as much as I can, but there's obviously limits to that. But here is the chart for Behemoth. Not looking too bad. G Money, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, bro. Appreciate you joining us on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, looks good there. Real quick, Josh, I'm gonna do something. It might mess me up. There we go. Nope, I'm good, I think. Am I?
Yeah, it refreshed. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Yeah, so here is the Behemoth. Whoa, what's going on? You guys saw that? You guys saw that little twitch on my deck screener? That was crazy. Looked like it was tweaking for a second. But anywho, this is the chart on Behemoth. Looks good. Again, not really gonna do much charting on these. GM brother, freaking legend. See you in the X chat. Appreciate you joining us. Shout out him. He always does really good work for us. So appreciate him. Yeah. Not really much you can really draw as far as like, lines on a chart are concerned. Maybe we can say this. But again, not really focused too much on charting with BNB charts. I'm mostly just looking at it as, is it undervalued? Like, where can it go? Like, I can, stuff has gone to freaking 20, 30, 50 mil on Binance. I mean, can this do the same? I mean, I think these two things can. I think Ben off the meme hype can do well. I don't know how many other you saw what Mars Coin did with SpaceX. I think that did pretty well. So yeah, dude, look, I'm just here. Just buying stuff that look undervalued. And I think so far, these two look pretty.
I'm starting to see the confluence of a Binance smart chain kind of situation happening. But I will also say this Unitree IPO is not available in the United States. Like, you might be able to get some derivative of it through a CFD, but it is an $8 billion IPO. Again, not available in the US. So now you mentioned this Ben chart. It's paired with how are they pairing it with the stock paired token? Is that true? Where did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that on the original thesis for the token. Kitty mentioned that. Let me go.
Can you expand on that? Because then you get into a situation, well, could it do something like AI did?
Yeah.
Which again,
Yeah.
ran to 20, 30, 26 or something, 15. I forget, but I don't know if I'm just looking at this, and I bought a little bit of this as well here at one. Someone clipped out, so I clipped in.
All right, let me see here. I'm just
And by the way, my
go.
DLIM, if you guys are following the show from the beginning, I put a DLM trade on earlier today. I think I put 5 SOL into it. I've already made about 0.6 SOL off it. So again, go provide liquidity on Meteora, guys. Honestly, the charts move sideways, and I've already made 0.6%. I'm making 70% APR just trading this DLM. So meteor.ag-ref-mcg. All right.
Let me real quick, let me just search this so we can maybe see the pair. Loading. USDT, Sol. I see the BNB pair. I see the US. So I'm not sure. That's what I saw in the original kind of thesis post for this, was that it was paired.
All right, I'll do.
With
You
it
can
being
keep
from
doing
Kitty.
others. So I'll try and find see if I can find any information on that.
And I guess
yeah.
I guess maybe the caveat is the IPO is tomorrow, right? The IPO is tomorrow. So I'm not sure if it'll just be available when it IPOs, or if there's like already.
Probably, unless it's like, oh, well, pre-stocks do exist, for what it's worth. There's stuff paired on stonks that is paired with Anthropic shares, which obviously are not IPO'd yet.
Let me see.
I mean, there's a few interesting catalysts. So we've had recent BNB runners, right, who have gone to decent ceilings, 20, 30 mil, etc. There's this kind of like, I don't think a lot of people have touched Binance in a while, the chain. Then you have this, obviously, this catalyst tomorrow, which is going to get a lot of news flow. Then you have the situation where US investors can't access the IPO at all. It's listed in Shanghai, which is crazy because like if all the Chinese robotics firms, the tier one, they're all the best in the world, you know, from a manufacturing standpoint. They're building the best hardware, some of the best robotics tech. So like, are they going to only list on Shanghai going forward? And then, yeah, that kind of is like a shot to the US capital markets in a way, is like, here's the best, most sought after IPOs, and they're all listing in China. Be very interesting. This is interesting times.
Very, very, very interesting. Very interesting times. Okay. Let's see. I actually found something I want to I tag for later. Okay. So there's that. I'm assuming we'll figure out the pairing situation here pretty soon. I guess they just don't have the pre-IPOs available for pre-IPO stocks available for this one. I'm assuming that anyway. Let's see, what else do we got? Let's go to Deck Screener. Let's open up multi-charts. And let's go through some of the tickers that you guys wanted to go through. All right. All right, let's see here. All right, let's go through some of the plays. Let's go through some of the plays you guys wanted us to talk about. We talked about Stack earlier. We went through some of our alpha. Let's go Delta here. Let's talk Delta. Delta's bouncing heavily. We talked about Delta yesterday, and I basically said, like, you know, this was the bid zone. It did tag the bid zone very, very briefly right here. Like, you can barely even see it, but like there's a wick here. So I mean, I would, as much as I'd love to claim clout on that, I mean, it's barely a wick into the deep value territory. So I really wanted it to kind of go more lower. Looks like we might not get that, bounce straight off the 0.786. So yeah, there's that. But that one is bouncing basically Meteora on Robinhood. You can DLMM on Robinhood. I think, I'm probably going to be a user of that product as well. I've always kind of, wondered why Meteora, or if Meteora would ever like switch on an EVM side of things. So um yeah, that Delta's looking good. I'm sure, users, metrics, and all of that will follow. Um, you should watch our latest episode on that if you guys want to find out a little bit more. Let's talk about we talked about Stack Hooker. Hooker was another one. We have them coming on the show. I know Dom was really interested. It's great to see Dom like really like lean into the trenches and start trading again. I haven't seen Dom really like actively trade and participate in things in a little while. He's mainly just been like, accumulating stuff. But then we popped out with the Noxa trade, and slowly but surely this market is even making Dom trade a little bit more actively. So that's a signal for me. But this was a nice little breakout here on Hooker. Maybe we get a little retest. Here before we eventually trend higher. But Hooker is looking very nice. Let's real quick take a look and see what's the latest on Hooker. And guys, we do have to cut. We do have a hard stop on the stream, so between now and 3 at some point we have to cut it. So I'm just gonna like get through this stuff as like quickly as I possibly can. But we do have Hooker coming on the stream. I believe it is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. But the reason why Hooker went pretty nuts was because he got a follow from the Uniswap founder. If you don't know what Hooker is, here's a nice little write up on it. Founders built one of the biggest early projects. So he's also the founder of Zapperfy. If you guys don't remember Zapper, as you can see here, this is the profile of the founder, the dev behind this project. But he created Zapperfy, which was like a huge DeFi project, OG DeFi project. Actually got acquired. So pretty good background on this founder. There are currently 6 hooks available. This is a little bit old, but there are currently 6 hooks available. You can mix them up in their token builder. So that's really what it is. It's just like you're able to use V4 hooks in all of these different customizable ways. So I think that's a really big part of this. But apparently they had different hooks available, like anti-snipe hooks, where it caps early buyers, adds a huge tax in the first blocks, and often does that and uses the fees to reward liquidity providers. So they have like it's just a V4 hook platform where it has customizable V4 hooks. What I want to see is what are their latest stuffs. Ooh, let me follow him back. Shout out the boy for following me. I guess they don't have. Okay, I guess they don't have an ad, but let me go on their website real quick and let's just spend. Oh, looks like their X account was compromised. Okay, so looks like that's what uh
I think he said that you would start a new one.
Yeah, I think they might get
wonder
that back soon. Our X account Hooker Fund is compromised and is not under our control. Ignore any posts, etc., etc. Okay, I understand. Build the hook, pick the market. So you have these different hooks, like we mentioned earlier. You have snipe, fee, burn, LP, pot. Each hook does something different. So each hook would essentially like try to do something a little bit different. Like the anti-snipe, it uses a high buy sell tax to disincentivize snipers, and then any fees it collects goes to LPs. Surge fees will charge like higher fees like on large trades. Auto burns, it burns parts of the token with volume from swaps. And they have a few other different features. But I guess now they have more than just these like 6 hooks. I think now they just have, like, as you can see here, 33 reusable blueprints. So I guess all of the hooks that launch, I'm assuming this is how it goes anyway. All of the hooks that launch can be reused. But hooks definitely seems pretty interesting. I saw Dom tweeted out about it as well. And his tweet was actually pretty interesting the way he worded that, but I didn't know where he got it from. So I think I'll be doing that interview with Dom tomorrow. So that should be pretty interesting. Pretty interesting to see that. So this is the tweet here where he says the project enabling liquidity pools to act as a lending and leverage market is now starting to curl. Future of DeFi. Bullish on the DeFi product that enables liquidity to earn yield outside of just swaps. So interesting things that can be done with Hooker's protocol, and I think that shouldn't be ignored. So there's Hooker, and again, we're interviewing them tomorrow, so always can get more info on that later. Outside of that, let's take a look at stonks real quick. Basically what happened with stonks is that or stonk. What happened with stonk is people viewed the launch of Ansem's quote unquote launch pad had like a bad effect on the stonk chart. And so a lot of people, kind of a little bit upset about that. But honestly, I think it's more so just like the market overreacting. I don't think that Ansem's launchpad is going to compete with Stonk, with Stonk's with the Stonk eco. I just don't think that's the case. I
No,
think
and those
that,
tokens are listed on Ansom's launchpad.
yeah, and that's the thing. They got listed, and like literally they like Manlet like was down a lot more, like a few others were down a lot more. So I was kind of like surprised by that, actually, to see that some of these launch some that the Ansem Z500 kind of acted as a liquidity vacuum. Did not expect that. Let me just throw a fib on this real quick. See where we're at. Golden pocket on the fib. Pull back, I think this is just an overreaction by the market. I wonder if we do something like this on I'm going to leave that up. I'm going to draw that there and just leave that up. But I think Stonk Eco is, the pullback here is really a huge opportunity. If you're bullish on Stonk, which I am, I think it's a huge opportunity to, again, you can get in late early, right? Like, well, this isn't technically late early. I would describe this 1 mil, this 1.1 mil entry. I would describe that as late early. This is still deep value. Like, this is like more of like you're getting a pullback on an obvious trend. You can pair tokens with anything. The market loves it. It's shown that over the last few days with all of the volume on this platform. The platform has made tons of money. I think they've made over like 77 million in volume, or 700,000. Let's actually take a look real quick at the Stonk platform. And let's just make sure that let's make sure that they can keep me honest here. All right. So here's the Stonk platform. They just did a recent update just yesterday on some of their airdrop mode. I've never seen that. Yeah, so they surpassed 700,000 in revenue, entering the top 50 revenue generating apps in all of crypto. They have also rewarded tons of people with they've rewarded tons of people with stocks. Real quick, let's just look through that. 97 million, almost 97 million in RWA volume. This is driving the adoption of RWAs on Solana, and that's been the overall RWA meme thesis: is meme coins can drive adoption for tokenized assets on chain. They have not only made almost 750,000 in overall revenue, but they've also burned almost $500,000 in stonk tokens. They burned 405,000. And real quick, if we can just look at the rewards, they've also distributed $3.3 million worth of assets to holders. So I think stonk here, just from an overall, token fundamental perspective, I think stonk is super undervalued here. I think the lower this goes, it would be super undervalued here, under 4 mil. But I think at 5.5 mil, this is still a great spot to at least start a DCA on this. Onchain is getting to the point where there are a lot of good things on a dip, and you might not have enough capital to buy everything. So you just look and buy something that you're convicted in. And for me, I love RWA memes. I think it's going to be one of the bigger drivers of retail activity in crypto, and I think this stock can be, a leader in that regard. Outside of that, let's see, what else do you guys have for us? Let's look at IMD. I saw IMD was kind of pushing a little bit over the last day or two. So let's take a look. IMD, yeah, pumping. This was just under a mil not too long ago. I don't have the full IMD thesis on me, like at the ready, but from what I understand, there's some sort of like NFT something or other happening here. But let me see. All right, so here's a nice little thesis, nice little write up on this by Last to Sign. IMD NFTs used to look like dev licenses. Now they appear to be turning into participation passes and digital identities for members of an autonomous company built around IMD. Since previous breakdown, Adam has significantly changed the direction of the project. Initially, it looked like a launcher with a Uniswap v4 hook. Now, Surf Code Repeat says he is building a larger agentic peer-to-peer protocol, with hooks becoming only one of its first features. The most interesting finding is inside the launch 6 hook feed distributor repo. The most interesting finding is inside the launch 6 hook fee distributor repo. Its main branch was created by Adam's account, although the repo formally belongs to the IMD organization. The task described in the repo is to collect 5% fee from every trade, hold it in ETH, and periodically distribute it among major IMD holders. The official IMD site is now live. All right. The IMD contract is limited to 2,000 NFTs, and the free mint was restricted to 1 NFT per wallet. The site describes it as a participation pass and identity. The verified code allows each NFT to be linked in an IFPS profile and permanently locked if desired. The NFT could potentially go for it, Josh. Deuces. The NFT could serve potentially as a pass into the identity network, a persistent profile for participation for a participant or AI agent, proof of participation in the early community, et cetera, et cetera. All right, not really seeing. All I'm seeing right now is that they pivoted. Is what I'm kind of seeing. I can someone get me a TLDR? GM Rambo, Dom the fundamental trader. Yeah, you're right, top fumbler. Just looking at the chat here. Chat is down, but they're figuring out questions can be dropped on the Discord. Yeah. So Leo Menth, you said they did not pivot. Can you like point me to a thesis or can you point me to a thesis or like give me a TLDR in the comments? That would be super, super helpful. I mean, like keep this in mind as well, guys. Like I'm doing this live DD with you guys. Like I'm doing my own trading outside of the stream. I'm in the mix, trenching with the community. I'm doing meetings for MCG. We're doing interviews. We're doing the stream. Like I'm not fully read up on absolutely every single project. I just try to do this live DD to give you guys some context. And sometimes it's just too much to go over on stream. I just want something a little bit more digestible. But it obviously seems like there's something more bullish. All right, Lesnar XBT looks like he's fetching some info for us. Bet. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, I can't pull up your comments live on stream, but I can see them. I'm just looking at the chat on my phone. So we'll just kind of do it that way for now. But GMs to all the homies out there, appreciate you guys joining the stream. Believe the simplest one-liner to explain the evolution of on-chain coins this cycle is last cycle we had Pepe's. This cycle we have Pepe's armed with AI. Meme coins are great at community formation and bootstrapping attention. Teams will then build cool mechanisms on top. And the homie Bitman here, good follow. He says this is IMD coded. So I'm trying to like figure out, exactly what this is. Ooh, here we go. Nice little TLDR is building a curated Uniswap V4 hook factory. 2,000 NFTs act as worker seats to build custom V4 hooks for projects. Every project pairs project with the IMD token, creating direct demand for IMD. Flow, GitHub proposal, AI generated repo, NFT holders build the hook, review, multi-sig deployment, not permissionless. Every launch goes through human review, still early stage test net, but this is the core idea. So this is like that. So I don't know. This is a little outdated. So I'm not really sure. Because again, we just read that it was like a little bit of a pivot type of situation going on. So let's go to Adam. Let's go to surf code repeat. And let's go to surf code repeat. Let's see if he says anything. Let's go to highlights real quick. See if there's anything. All right, nothing there. Let's see. Yeah, not really seeing much on IMD from this guy's write-ups. If you're a dev out there and you're building a project, kind of post your vision, your thesis, and maybe pin it to your profile. Could help as like CT hunts for information. No shade, just just a good could be just a good thing, good little reminder. Okay, decentralized peer-to-peer harness. This is August 2nd though. Okay. All right. Well, let's see what info comes. Can't post any links. DM it to me. DM it to me, Lesnar. Yeah, DM it to me and I'll review it. Oh shoot. Sharing all my all right. So all right, perfect. So we'll wait for Lesnar to DM me some of that. I might not be able to get it today. Okay, wait. Actually, I see it. Here it is. I think. Yeah, let's see. Rama Maulana dot. Dude, the chat is so funny sometimes. Like, all right. Let's see. So here's a good thesis post that was sent in from you guys about IMD. Why IMD matters for Uniswap and beyond. Uniswap has always been infra for builders. IMD has taken that foundation and trying to do something much bigger. Industrialize the next layer of Uniswap. It turns the programmable power of V4 hooks into a continuous identity gated production system where every new market is forced to launch as a project paired with IMD token. This doesn't just create a structural demand for the token, it turns production itself into a scarce credentialed right. Not a Uniswap V4 hook, a new agentic peer-to-peer protocol. If it works, this becomes more than another hook factory. It becomes one of the first real attempts to combine three things the industry has been talking about for years, but rarely execute well. A serious effort to move beyond one-off hook experiments. Instead of isolated custom hooks, Identity is building a sustained identity-gated production pipeline on V4 with their 2000 NFT collection. Identity has already shown a more complete loop, AI writing a full Uniswap V4 hook, another one reviewing it, and a machine verifying the result in an isolated environment. The first real job was shipped this way overnight, cleaner than most AgentFi experiments. Lesnar. So this dev is the previous dev of FriendPet, which went to 100 mil. Oh, shoot. Okay. I didn't realize he was the dev of FriendPet. Went to 100 mil. I remember FriendPet from 3 years. I was here when FriendPet launched. Yeah, okay. He has been working in the project since 3 years. He has been working on IMD, friend, all same tokens across the two chains. Bro, he is the OG. That's crazy that he's only communicating via IDM on the blockchain. That's actually a different level of crypto ethos loyalty. But yeah, so the bigger idea is an agentic peer-to-peer protocol, AI agents and verified human workers, identity NFT holders collaborating to turn ideas into live markets. Each of the 2000 NFTs is treated as a programmable work license. The holders are the verified human workers who can be assigned real jobs, while the AI agents write and review the code. The NFT sits in between the humans and agents as a production seat. Okay, cool. Not bad at all. Okay, so we'll kind of like put it there. So it's basically a kind of way for ideas to come have human interaction and input, but then also have like this kind of AI layer around it to make sure that it can be built and reviewed and done quickly. So okay. So a much bigger vision than what I just thought this was like some sort of like NFT project, but it's actually something a little bit a bit deeper than what meets the eye originally. So that's good. That's good to see. All right, guys. So real quick, I do have to end the stream now simply because we have a meeting coming up. Um, we have a meeting coming up here that's really important that I have to get to, and I want to just chill with the Discord for a little bit. So that's what I'll do. I'm gonna go ahead and shut stream down. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it today. I mean, we had a lot of like alpha leak out today. We were able to get to pretty much most of the list of things that the Discord wanted us to get through. So look, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure being on stream with you all. As usual, we'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m., 12:15 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We have a really, really cracked schedule. For everyone here with us right now, thank you so much for joining. We're MCG. Go to at MCG Live on Twitter. Be sure to follow the X account. We're here Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern, interviewing great builders, great founders in the space. We are doing we bring on quality projects. Anyone doing anything interesting on chain likely will be coming through MCG. We've been growing quite a bit lately. This was just 14K like 2 days ago, and now 14.2, almost 14.3. So we've been like growing like crazy. We were just at 10K not too long ago as well. Several weeks ago. So just, growth at MCG has been absolutely massive. So we really appreciate the love and the support that you guys show. Be sure to like go to the pinned tweet, like and retweet the stream. And also, if you guys are interested, you should definitely take a look at the Shaw story. We had a massive interview with Shaw from AI16Z, and he goes through a lot of the crazy story behind the behind the scenes story of AI16Z, and he walks through his lawsuit and how he went from basically 6-7 figs to now kind of having to start over. So really great episode there. Shout out to all of our sponsors: Meteora, MetaDAO, best place to raise in crypto if you're a company and want to align your holders with your team. Outside of that, really appreciate y'all. I'll see you on the timeline. I'm gonna try to see if I can start getting out some content. It's been a little bit of a crazy time IRL for myself. So I've been just trying to balance being active and trading while at the same time, obviously I have family responsibilities and stuff like that. So, just trying to make sure I balance everything, but appreciate all the love, appreciate all you guys and everything that you guys do to support the show. I'll see you soon. Catch you guys tomorrow. Deuces.